if you do have to ever do that, like if we fuck up that bad, you should just robot it in. Just be like, yeah.
Oh yeah, it would be so obvious.
Just use text speech.
You type out your entire script you have on hand.
Everything I say would be on solidly like a half second to a full second delay for what would sound versus what would sound natural for a conversation.
Yeah, but would you actually go through the time?
No. I would just raw dog it.
Yeah. You would have it playing and you just try and like fill in the blanks. And
I would just
and you'd be like watching
I would just
the bars.
respond to what you said while you were saying it on the recording.
like you'd be watching the dead space and you'd be like just filling it full of nonsense of roughly what you thought it would be, and then you'd be like, oh, I'm not done my idea, but Mass has started talking, so it's like, better just stop. Just
Oh no, like I would have that would be the basic idea, but I would have the recording of you playing so I would know what you were saying, and then I would try to reconstruct my side of the discussion without any additional assistance in real time.
Jesus Christ. Hello and welcome to BonkTable. I'm Mass, and with me we have my wonderful co-host Cass.
Hello.
And one of our local meta's greatest players, Cullen. I don't know your last name.
Don't worry, that's
And also,
fine.
why would we use the last names on here?
Yeah, we don't even have last names. So, for everyone with us, we have our featured guest or special guest, Cullen. Whenever I mention the other 100 Kingdoms player in my local meta, this is the guy I'm talking about.
Hello, everybody.
To give him props, he's actually good at the game. Whenever we play, he likes to torment me mentally because he has some snide remarks he makes, and he's actually a good player and he's a good person. And
Well, I have to do it so that way, even when I lose, I'm still winning.
Jesus. And so it begins. We're gonna have like an hour to 3-4 hours of this. Just
Maybe
messing with me. And basically talking about that, he got himself onto the podcast. We're like, wow, I wish to be tortured for like 2 hours.
Just remember, you invited me.
Well, yeah,
That
I'm not
indicates all of the dungeon jokes that have been made up to this point on our Discord. I hope you realize that.
What do you mean the dungeon jokes?
You saying I'd like to be tortured.
Oh, well, that's why I have the sex dungeon.
All right, yep. So, I mean, yep. I guess there's no ambiguity to it now.
I put a video.
Let's keep it moving.
I put a video of the dungeon, like the descent down into it on the Discord to show people how great it is, and the Harry Potter room.
Yeah, so, I mean, let that be an incentive to listeners who are not on our Discord yet. You can see a sex dungeon on it.
Jesus Christ. First I find out that bonk in British means sex, and that I've accidentally named this whole thing sex table in Britain, and that I have a sex dungeon. I'm like, what the fuck? I just want to run a Conquest channel. Instead I have a sex dungeon.
Yeah, I think it's really funny because I'm outside of this podcast in the Discord. I'm like the lewdest old woman in the world, and I have to tone it down so much when I'm just like anywhere that's not any of the normal places that I haunt, and I've really made an effort for this community, but it still just seems to gravitate towards just
Lewd.
Nasty shit immediately without me doing anything, which rules. But
yeah, we don't have to do.
It seems to be unavoidable.
We don't have to worry about that. Half the community members show up to this Discord to just post lewd shit to try and fuck with me about. It's like, okay, is this a timeout? Is this a bannable offense? And I'm like, God damn it! Now I gotta look at it and figure it out.
Yeah.
Or is
it
this
never
like,
is.
or is this like an innuendo? And I'm like, okay, you get away with it this time. Anyway.
On that note,
yeah. So for everybody, our topic for today is about changing factions, or swapping around factions, and like how they play and interact, and how if you are going to do a faction swap, how you kind of want to deal with that. We have a couple things to do first. First off is PB news. As time of recording, there is no new news that we didn't cover in the previous episode, so Parabellum's probably still doing update, maybe like, I don't know, January, February or something. They've been kind of mentioning it. There was a happy hour last month, and eShop still has, I think I have it open. Yeah, there's like the Ironclad Drake, female Jarl from the Artisan Theories, the map, all the holiday bundles, so that's all available.
Oh yeah, the map.
The map.
I want to get that map.
Yeah,
I want to get 2 of those maps.
And what?
And
Are you gonna do like it?
Yeah, I'm gonna just use one as a throw on my bed and just annoy my partner. Probably just deal with the whole relationship situation in one fell swoop the day that she walks in and sees that on top of the duvet. So
it's just just the only thing on the bed is just you in the nude, covered by
the map.
To be modest.
I'll be packing up my map and hitting the road that same night.
You could make a bindle out of the map after.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, at least you have a map, so you know where you gotta go.
God damn it.
Yeah. I'll have to. I don't know why, but for some reason, because the bindle stick was invoked, now I'm like, well, I'd have to wear a barrel with straps on it instead of clothes when I get turned out of my own home. So I'm like, well, that means I'll have to have the barrel ready to go, or else things are going to be really bad for me. So
what are you talking about?
I've got a lot of problems to solve.
You bought a second map. You could wear it as a poncho.
It's true. The diaper map, the bindle map, I'm good.
So yeah, it's not a huge ton going on with Parabellum since we last talked.
TB listening to this and just loving to hear the creative ideas that their players are having for this.
Hey, it uses all 100% Parabellum product.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's
Tournament
legit.
legal, baby.
Colin, you picked the rule of the week. What is it?
It is Trample X. Do you want me to read it out?
I would love for you to read it out.
Okay. At the end of this regiment's activation, if this regiment is in contact with an enemy regiment in its front arc, each stand in this regiment with the special rule causes X additional hits, where X is equal to the trample stand or the stand's trample X value. These additional hits do not benefit from any of the regiment's special rules and hit automatically. Also known as Aura of Death 2, much better than you.
Jeez.
So, my take on Trample is perfect rule, 100% balanced, no notes, no reason to change, not balance pass not required. Just an idea, just a great design.
Yeah?
No bias.
No bias. You're talking.
What bias would there be? Just because I'm the only one who
has it.
Yeah. So,
and that's the thing. So you're really, in a way, everybody who criticizes it is speaking out of turn, unless they're a Wadroon player.
Mm-hmm.
What the? Are you being equality into the war game? Is that it?
Well, it's just you don't have the lived experience of playing with Trample to inform your opinions. So I don't think that you necessarily you should make room for Trample havers.
Oh, sorry.
And hold space for people who have access to the special rule to talk about their experiences.
Have you ever been on the receiving end of Trample? Is my question for you.
Nope, and at the rate things are going, I never will.
No, I think I agree with Cass, and as a result, I think Ash and Dawn are actually the weakest unit in the game and need some extensive buffs to make them playable.
Okay, sure, fuck it. You know what? Fuck it.
Oh.
I have realized I have brought on 2 insane people onto the podcast.
You have to understand about me is the future doesn't exist. Whatever I have to do to attain my short-term goals is fine. I'll figure out the rest when it comes up.
Oh my god. So, for the listeners, stuff about Trample you should understand is that it happens.
It's a little broken.
Yeah.
I'll admit.
Yeah. So kind of the order of operations with this rule is that you activate your regiment with Trample. They charge into an opposing regiment, do their impact attacks. do their clash attacks, and it's at the end of their activation. So if they march charge, they get trample. If they inspire clash, they get trample. If they charge clash, they get trample, because it just checks for end of activation. Then every stand that you have in that regiment, trample value gets all added together, and your opponent just takes that many hits. So you don't have to roll die to hit, they just take that many hits flat. Your opponent then has to roll their saves for the defense, and then they have to roll resolve on it. So you do take resolve on trample, it really sucks. So that's why it's kind of better than Aura of Death, because it's more it's very much like front loaded upon your opponent's activation, and they can get a lot of work done. So one of the nice things about trample is that it can actually kill objectives, because it hits objectives, because it only checks like units in the regiment. So I know Cass before has put a Thunder Chieftain in a unit of Raptor Riders. Thunder Chieftain has hit the objective, impacts, clash, and trample, and kill the objective all in one turn. So if you have trample, you can one round an objective if you're not a heavy.
If you're a Mega Brain Wadroon player and you don't throw away your Raptor Riders with the carelessness of a unit that does not cost 190 points, you can also put your Thunder Chieftain in a unit of Raptors.
Yeah.
And get that early scoring and early objective killing very easily, which again is great if you don't then immediately throw your Raptors as far forward as possible and kill them.
Yeah, don't lose your Raptors.
Don't
Or
do
move that Thunder Chieftain out.
Yeah.
Another thing about... oh, go ahead.
Oh, no. Go ahead.
Okay.
I don't remember what I was going to say, actually.
Another thing about trample is because it's dependent on the activation of your regiment. Just be aware of your opponent trying to get stuff to that regiment and either killing off stands or killing the regiment before you've activated so that they can reduce trample damage, because it's basically just kill off stands. Kind of a way to similar to reducing Aura of Death, but Aura of Death triggers when your opponent activates the regiment. So you kind of want to hit the trample guys before they hit you. It can, because of its stackability, especially with Thunder Riders, you can get a bunch of fucking tramples. I think it's 2 per Thunder Rider. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, so if someone's running a 6-stand Death Ball, it's at the end of the activation, here, take 12 tramples.
And you can do 2 wide too and still get all the tramples. Sorry, I think that's important.
Yeah.
It's like impacts, you just get them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what makes trample a little crazy, is the fact that, at least with Aura Death, it's only the ones that are touching you. There's the whole regiment, it's just everything just has, just support on it.
Yeah, it's basically better impacts. Also the auto hit, what can just get around evasion or high defense, well, not high defense, but it can but it can get around maybe lower clash or losing hits to clash.
The thing is, they have no special rules, so that I will say in its defense. So 10 nothing hits are going to bounce off a lot of regiments.
Yeah, but trample is designed to kill low defense stuff. Defense, it's perfectly aimed to kill defense 2 stuff.
I have a funny story actually about trample.
Once ahead.
We've explored our opinions about the rules. Okay, or I'll just get right into it.
Sorry. For opinions, I think it's a very strong rule that Wadroon has, and Wadroon players should abuse it.
Yeah.
Colin?
It's a strong rule, but everything that gets it... sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you there, Colin.
No worries.
Costs about 300 points. So it's not something that you just that they're just throwing around. So I will say that in its defense, it does probably need to be tuned down a bit. Probably either making them not auto hit or reducing the overall number of hits that each stand or each monster contributes are probably the 2 most obvious ones. But I would probably say make them not auto hit and keep the output roughly the same, because it does. I don't know. I have opinions that I can tell people aren't gonna agree with. So.
Or maybe take the resolve off of it, similar to Aura of Death.
Well, I was also thinking it's only the stands that are touching the enemy regiment, so you can't just, as I say, go too wide and have the 4 back stands or somehow trample as well.
Yeah.
May not make the most sense score-wise, as they are essentially trampling over in a wave, but, balance.
Mm-hmm.
The resolve thing, so to me, it makes intuitive sense that getting trampled by a dinosaur or watching your friend just get his head split by a dinosaur foot would actually scare the fucking shit out of you. So,
Oh yeah.
well, it might be a solution rules-wise to take out Resolve. I do feel like when you think about it, like, what in the world is going to be scarier than something just walking through you?
I was gonna say, imagine how much worse it'd be, because the only things that have trample are the Thunder Riders and the two
Big
giant
dinos.
monsters, the Tauntor. Imagine if they had terrifying any of those.
Does the drum beast?
No, none of them have terrifying.
Yeah, shit. I'm trying to find terrifying because I was thinking about it. There's the resolve affected by terrifying. Regiments in contact with this stands with this special rule reduce their resolve characters by X, where X is the value of the terrifying special rule for the process of making morale tests against wounds taken from this regiment. So yeah, terrifying would count for trample.
Yeah, it's just a good thing that the regiments that have trample don't have terrifying, because otherwise that'd be even more deadly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your story.
So one fun thing that happened is last Thursday, that game that you were present for part of against that Spires player. So he had a big brick of force-grown drones that he was marching on to a point to contest, and my Tauntor was kind of in line to do the thing, so I was like, fuck it, let's see what happens when you throw a Tauntor into a big brick of lethal demise force-grown drones, and let me tell you, everyone dies.
I was gonna say
the Tauntor definitely suicided itself on lethal demise hits, but it did clear the brick. So I guess I don't know.
Did
I don't know how I feel about it.
Did it kill more or less than 330 points or 310 or whatever the fuck it's cost to hit?
I guess I would have to try to reconstruct the list to figure out exactly how many points. Like it did feel like a pretty. I have no idea. But I assume that it was probably a at least semi-comparable like point investment. It probably wasn't the best use of my Tauntor, if I'm being completely honest, but like I wanted to see what would happen. It's everyone dies, but they're all slick with dinosaur gore, so I don't know.
The dino stepped on some people and they exploded, and the dino was like, this is my feet, and then stepped on some more guys, and I was like, it hurts.
Yeah.
Just people, oh my god. That's actually pretty great. Both exploded on each other.
And it was literally to the point where it was like she had less than 6 wounds left, and like the lethal demise hits were just whittling her down. I don't even think they got a clash off on her. If I'm
doesn't matter honest. If you explode on a Tauntor.
Yeah, so it's by the second round, like the second sequence of attacks, I think the lethal demise hits. She was holding on with like a wound and then died.
I just imagine they just crushed so many force-grown drones, they just slipped in the blood and like smacked their head and died.
They just fell over.
So, just slipped in the slick blood, and I don't know, like stabbed their neck on a tree trunk or something.
Yeah.
Jesus. So now we know how to kill Tauntors. Just lethal demise it to death.
There you go. Sakari stock's looking good.
Do Sakari have lethal demise?
They do, and their evasion 2 with Fearless and Resolve 4.
I don't look at them just because I don't play a priest that often, and also because they're not around. Like they're not available.
I rarely play the priest as well. Like it's only for the meme build with like the militia brick for Elysian Fragment.
Yeah, still I'm not like super like not fancy, but like I want to say like yeah, this is a build that everyone it's a meme. Yeah. Best way to say it. Should we get to our topic?
Sure.
Okay, Colin. You recently swapped factions. Tell us about it. Yes,
I did. Well, when we were getting into it, actually, funny enough, I wasn't originally getting the 100 Kingdoms. I was going to get into Dwegholm, but the 3 people I was talking to, or the 2 other people I was talking to, one was our Vanguard who went, they went Old Dominion.
Yeah.
And another one was one of our Dwegholm players who doesn't show up that much anymore. I'm like, well, I don't want to have double of an army, so I'll just go with the humans because got to root for the home team. But yeah, just different variety, trying out a new faction. I was thinking about the Nords, but I generally like more defensive armies, and the Nords are not very defensive.
No, they seem to explode upon impact.
I mean, those Bearsarks in our game somehow held on.
Yeah.
That's mainly blessed.
When you blessed, you could just make god rolls all game. You're like,
Hell
oh no,
yeah.
I got 4 successes out of 20 dice.
Those Stalkers sure held up with Evasion 2 with that one wound.
Yeah, fuck. I was recording that battle report and I got to that turn and I'm like, this is the turn everything falls apart, where all my plans go to shit.
You still won though.
Yeah, it's just like, dude did not want to he did not want to die.
No.
So why did you pick Nords then?
So when I was thinking of getting in, Nords were an option. I like the Viking aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided to be a bit different than the 100 Kingdoms. Not as defensive, especially when you go in, like, the list I've been building with, like, Bow Chosen and the Ulfednar and the Bearsarks. It's a lot more elite than the 100 Kings list I would generally play, which is multiple bricks of 8 pikemen with a character attached. Yeah, which I know people love.
Yeah, the 2 blocks of Gilded Legion.
Yeah, or my favorite list, the 11 Gilded Legion with their Imperial Officer.
Just like, fucking thing doesn't want to die anytime soon.
I mean, it's been killed before.
Yeah, but it's usually like a lot of work.
Yeah, well, that's the point.
Yeah, you got it. So you basically you faction swap because, like, were you getting tired of 100 Kingdoms? Or were you just kind of
I'm still enjoying 100 Kingdoms, but it definitely was, because I said I always ran like the infantry brick list, and then for about a month and a half I was running the cav list when we realized the Sealed Temple were coming out soon.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I think a lot of people just getting at the club are getting worn down of 100 Kingdoms, since I'm there all 95% of the weeks, and you're there for about half of them. So there's a lot of 100 Kingdoms representation, and though we play generally pretty different lists, I think a lot of people are just getting sick. Plus, I know 100 Kingdoms are definitely one of the more powerful factions right now. So I'm like, let's try swapping to something else. Nords are fun, look cool. And plus, no one really plays Nords right now at the club. So I'm like, yeah, bring a new faction in, some more diversity.
Yeah.
And see how it goes.
Here's the thing. I would play my Nords, but I don't want to build 2.5 more sprues of raiders.
Oh, I have a bunch of built raiders from the person I got them from. Although half of them I think don't even have heads or arms. It's just the torso. I never plan on running lit raiders, at least currently.
Good enough.
I feel like my lists, when I try to dive into Nords, I can't find the motivation to actually bring them out instead of my Wadroon, but which I guess is something we'll touch on in the podcast. But
maybe today.
Yeah, maybe, or I don't know, in a couple weeks or something. Who knows? It seems like you need a couple raiders at least to just kind of fill out the thing. But yeah, I guess there's raiderless lists too. I haven't really considered that. I feel like, and this is maybe a more differenter discussion, but Valks are not getting enough love, so I wouldn't mind taking them out for a spin post all the changes and see how they anchor a list that wants a sturdy anvil to enable the army rule.
Well, I know, the list I decided to go with and that I've built towards is a Jarl Warlord with full tactical, Broken Blade, and the aspects Dragon Wolf for +1 attack and clash.
Mm-hmm.
He goes with... Sorry?
Nothing. Go ahead.
Okay. And I've decided to make the Jarl the Warlord, because ever since they changed up the surprise attack, they give the extra attack in the flank and opportunities. It seems interesting. I've never seen I don't see many Nords, but even when I see stuff online, not many people take. They go for either the Shaman or the Blooded, the next would most likely be the Volva. So I'm like, let's see how it goes. So he's with 5 stands of Huskarls with leader, standard bearer, Thang, and Skull, just basically the anvil, one of the anvils of the army. And the whole idea is just trying to anvil up and get some side charges. So I got 3 stands of Ulfednar with a standard bearer and a Gothi for was it Blessed and Devout, mainly just Blessed. And then 6 stands of Berserks with a Gothy and a Standard Bear, which are a heavy hitter, but also can anvil, especially with the Blessed, like Defense 3, if they're not hitting you with Cleave, and then the reroll can hold on pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm providing background commentary.
Okay. And then I realized, well, if I need to get the flanks off, I got to get them to come to me and to overstand. How do I do this? Well, since I'm not really tanky enough as Nords to like hold off, like just to eat range shots, I need to win the range fight. So here comes the second warband. A Blooded with the aspect of Crow, +2 Barrage, Marksmanship for another +2, so he's Barrage 7, and the Horn of Hildgar to give his regiment rapid fire. So one's to hit count as 2 hits for volley actions. And he's got 2 units of Stalkers with a Standard Bearer and 2 units of Bow Chosen. So whole plan is win the range fight, make you come to me, and in your desperation try and get the archers. You potentially overextend, and like the Stalkers and the Bow Chosen are like perfectly fine in melee. Bow Chosen are 4 attacks, Clash 3. Stalkers are 4 attacks at Clash 2. They go into the side. They're now at 5 attacks, inspiring to 3 or 4, and now with opportunists for rerolls, getting around the shield. Yeah, and that's kind of the whole idea. And if something heavier comes along they need help with, that's when the Ulfednar, the Berserks, or the Huskars can potentially back them up.
It's a really good list, and it was very annoying to play into.
I got you to overextend with the Ash. Hey, I killed the Ashendon.
Yeah,
so
you did.
It worked. And man, you brought 5 stands of them in one regiment. Tisk.
What are you talking about? I could have brought 2. I could have brought 10.
2 regiments. Oh, 10. What, 2 regiments of 5?
Yeah.
Oh, that's sweaty.
You gotta sweat to win. I only get I only show up to play games every 2 weeks. I gotta do something here.
Mm-hmm.
Says the guy who's playing double Bow Chosen and Stalkers and just like peppering shots into things.
I mean, to be fair, the Bow Chosen only fired, twice the whole game between both regiments?
Yeah, but Stalkers got to fire.
They spent most of the game in melee.
Yeah, because I had to do something about it. And also, you side-charged me for Opportunist.
Hey, it worked.
Yeah, I'm not faulting you. That's the whole point of your list. You did your thing.
Unfortunately, then the Steel Legion showed up and said, fun's over.
Yeah, it's like, I have to put this down. I have to put this down now. That was a good list. So, now my question for you is, you played a game of Nords, and if you stick with it and you keep playing more and expanding upon your Nords, and you don't do that awful thing you said where you're going to bring both 100 Kingdoms and Nords and only play 100k into me just to torment me.
Yeah, for that. Well, the mirror matchup, you got to practice. 100 Kingdoms are really strong.
You could.
You need practice for your tournaments. The 100 Kings are going to be a tough faction. They're at least from what I see, they have high win rates. And then you can play Cass for practice against Withdrewn, which is from what I see, understand, is the other high win rate faction.
God damn it!
We're just trying to help.
So listeners, this is what I get every time I come to the store.
And yet somehow you keep coming back.
Yeah, because I have nowhere else to play.
The trap has been set. Surprise!
Surprise, motherfucker! Oh my god. There's no winning against you, is there? Even when you're losing, you're still winning because you're tormenting me.
Exactly. So another idea I came across potentially for a list is the Volva as the warlord and the Brick of Valkyries. And then running the Blooded with 2 bricks of Trolls, 1 5 stands that he joins, and the other 1 6 stands. Just get him to Evasion 2 and just see if they can grind.
Put him in the 6 stands? Put him in the 6 stand so he's 7, so he has a better breaking point, and you still have the Blooded around to kill stuff.
Well, I like the 5 because it gets him to 6, and he'd lose 3 stands to break, which is going to be 18 wounds you got to do, and they're going to be Evasion 2, the Resolve 3, up to 4 for regiment size.
Yeah,
and they have Oblivious.
They still count as 5. Like then you have to kill another. Then you have to kill another 2 stands. You're killing the entire regiment anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's probably fine because then they have to kill all 5.
Plus, I think. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, like my question is, because now that you played Nords and you've played 100 Kingdoms a lot, like what are the differences you're finding between the 2 factions? currently?
Nords are definitely a lot more expensive.
Okay.
For not any increase, in fact, for lower defensive stats generally.
Yeah, but do you find their base clash to be higher? Like that's usually like
yeah,
a base higher clash.
Basically, I think you have like obviously I haven't played Ugars, but like you think of Ugars, 150 points at Clash 3 and like Cleave 2.
Yeah, no, that's fucking
Oh,
great.
pretty nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you find that Nords has better special rules or like different tricks and stuff? Or
Well, like I said, I've only played the one game so far.
Yeah,
and the
now you're an
new
expert.
army rules are pretty. Yeah.
That's how this works.
Like, especially, I don't know. I just want to see how much value I can get out of surprise attack, right? Because you saw it in, well, eventually the viewers will see if they watch the battle report, right? With my Huskars, which unfortunately got one shot by the Ashen Dawn, but I set them up on that angle, right?
Yeah.
So the idea is like, okay, you're gonna invade or charge, and you can't avoid the side hit. And one thing that really helps with that is the new rule, prophecy unfulfilled. So if you're engaged with a friendly regiment, I get plus 2 inches to charge that regiment.
And then I killed them, and you're like, well, I'm already here.
Yeah, well, to be fair, I was only like 2 inches away anyways.
Yeah, because you're setting it up, and I was like,
But the idea was potentially to help more with the range units where I can space them out and then angle them slightly so then they can support each other. So, like, the original plan was a stalker with a bow chosen on each flank.
mm-hmm.
And then angle them. So, okay, you go into the stalkers, bow chosen coming behind. You go into the bow chosen, stalkers are going to come from behind.
Yeah, you just kind of mob them.
Yep.
No, I do like your list, and I also do like how you use a supremacy that a lot of people don't put a lot of stock into to like such great advantage into our game. And I was like, oh, this sucks.
Well, sometimes what I like to try and do, like not just in this, but in video games, find a concept that I like but I know is weak, and just try and min-max it as much as possible to make it somewhat viable.
You're a true meme build.
Yeah.
There's a tear in my eye. I played classic Red Paladin. Like, the meatiest of builds.
I played a little bit of WoW. In the best expansion. Definitely going to make some enemies here. Warlords of Draenor. Have I played any of the other ones? Not really, but I don't care. It's the one I played, so which means it's the best.
Cass, shoot this man.
Fair.
Where's the button to like kick someone out of the server?
We need that Palmer Lucky VR helmet that shoots you in the head for when we have.
We're gonna like do the Sword Art Online thing where I die in the game, I can die in real life. I'm like, oh, finally.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, hook me up to the machine, but then also hook our guests up.
It'll take him forever to finally kill me.
But like going back to the min-maxing, I remember in playing because I started with Warhammer as for wargaming.
Yeah.
I imagine many people do. And I was playing. Started playing at the start of 8th edition, playing Imperial Guard, and Guard were pretty good. And my opponent, I mainly just playing the same person over and over again, our local Vanguard.
Oh yeah.
And they were getting a little. Well, as I said, Guard was pretty strong, so they were getting a little disappointed. So I decided to swap to. Funny enough, the Nords of 40k. I swapped to the Space Wolves because at the time Space Marines weren't very good in general. Space Wolves were generally even worse than normal Space Marines, and 8th edition was a very shooting list, and I brought full melee minus 3 units of intercessors. I had 2 bricks of 10 Terminators with a Terminator Chaplain and a Terminator Rune Priest, and then I had 2 units of Wolf Cavalry. I think get 5 stands each with a Wolf Priest and a Rune Priest on Jetpack to keep up, and it was just a melee mash.
So you just kind of like just ran into people and were like,
ran. Yeah.
So, I guess my next question, are you gonna play more Nords?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna keep playing.
Okay, sweet. Because then it's like, yeah, I can play against Nords. Because we had one guy earlier on who was playing Nords, and then he kind of like swapped to Old D, and then he kind of.
Well, that's whose Nords I have.
You have Dan.
They sold them to me. Wait, Dan.
Dan's the man.
Yeah, Daniel. Yeah, and he used to bring the. He had a little horn to drink out of as he was playing.
Yeah, he had the drinking horn.
He's getting into city states now, so basically he said, if you buy me one of the Hephaestians, you get all my Nords.
Oh, well, that's a deal I'd take. Easy.
Funny enough, also, those weren't even originally his Nords. They're the Vanguard's Nords. I'm getting third hand Nords.
The meme build keeps going.
I've added the only thing I've added a more the Bearsarks and the Ophednar. I think that's all I've added.
Those are good choices, but Double Bow Chosen's just like a base buy for a Nords player.
Yeah,
like they're shorter range.
To get a hold of too.
Yeah, that as well, because they come in the starter box, or both starter boxes, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's Bow Chosen are versatile units. They're good to have, even if you're not trying to shoot with them. Like I've definitely had when I was playing my Nords, had a lot of games where they held on way longer than they should have, and got work done.
Oh, yeah. I remember your Bow Chosen beating my Household Knights to a death over multiple rounds of combat.
I remember like charging in with like Steel Aegis or Household. I just like get stopped and beaten to death. I'm like, this is fucking dumb.
Oh, especially back when they were Evasion 2 as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so Cass, you start with Wadroon, and then you kind of picked up some Nords at one point, and you kind of played that for a little bit, and then you're back with Wadroon. So why did you pick up Nords? So why is everyone going back to Nords now? Or well, you before.
My reasons are twofold, and one is going to be so annoyingly predictable for people who listen to this podcast, but I'm just going to be straight up about it because I don't give a shit. I didn't so I'd been having a pretty rough time with Wadroon. It was before we had gotten a lot of our better units, so I'm just not very good, so I was struggling. And I wanted to change it up a bit, and I thought the Valkyries were just really hot, and I wanted an excuse to buy them, but I wasn't just going to buy miniatures because they're babes, even though I'm freely admitting that that's a factor in me wanting to purchase them. So I instead decided I needed a reason to buy the Valkyries, and so I figured, well, I want to switch things up, so I went forward with the Nords, but it was kind of a stupid decision in the sense that like they have a lot of mechanical similarities to Wadroon. It's not as much of a contrast as going from 100 Kingdoms to Nords, but it's interesting. I don't regret it necessarily. I think it's probably helped me understand the game better. In fact, I'd say I'm sure it has. I did have some success with them. I guess I would have started around 2.0, early 2.0 with them. And initially did have some decent success with them. 50-50 more or less. Like it really just comes down to my own whatever that I didn't pull more wins with them. But as I played with them more with what I had and what was available at the time versus what was becoming available with the Wadroon, like I wound up going back to Wadroon just because the options opened up and there was more interesting things that I wanted to try. And since then, it's like I've just been enjoying that side of it more. So I haven't been as motivated to move back to the Nord side of things. I'm sure I should eventually, but there was also like I was so focused on like in the wake of the revisions and the release of the big dinosaurs and the Thunder Riders and stuff, like getting into the theory crafting and the list building of the Wadroon, that I wasn't focusing enough on the Nords to feel confident about like the decisions that I was making list building wise, and nothing was really hooking me in. So it just kind of, I've just been kind of waiting on it.
Okay, so first reason, understandable. You're part of, I guess, now the Sex Podcast, or the Conquest Sexy Times Podcast. And the other one, like, you kind of just need a break from the faction you're playing. What's like really valid. While Cullen was kind of like wanted to try something new and get good at it.
Yeah. Plus, it was also to give like the local
there was a gap. There was
a bit of a break from the 100 Kingdoms.
Yeah, because. So I do like that there's like different ideologies and thought process behind getting into a new faction. Is there when you guys are playing a new faction? Because I haven't I've faction swapped in other games before. Like Colin, you did it in 40K. I did it in War Machine. Like I went from Mercs to Khador to Crucible Guard to like back to Mercs or whatever, or Circle or whatever. Like I'd usually change for like 2 years and then then swap around. Do you? How do I say this? Like, do you find that you have to like? How do you deal with like the learning aspect of the new faction when your guys are like getting into it? Like, Cullen, how did you kind of like learn and absorb Nords so that you had a good idea how to play it?
I'd say I'm still learning, right? I've only played the one game, but a big thing is before I like pick up the faction, I'm already building like multiple trial lists and I'm editing them and like I'm already trying to build a game plan with the list. I'm like, okay, how do I make this work? What regiments do I want need? So I said, like, for example, a big thing I wanted to do was to use the Jarl as the warlord for surprise attack. So a big thing is it only affects infantry. So not to mention, everything in the army is going to be infantry. Like Fenrir Beast Pack look absolutely great, but I don't have any because they're not infantry. And I'm trying to get the most out of surprise attack. Another thing is for their army rules. For example, the giants. I'm generally, how do I say? I know a lot of people are very big on the centerpiece models. The Jotnars, the Dinos, the Promethean, and the Hephaestian. And I can definitely understand that. I generally try and go the other way, and I like to have. I said, like, back when I was playing guard, I would have 120 little dudes running around. I'm literally like a... Crap. What's the gambling game? Roulette? Whatever. You just pushing the chips, instead I'm just pushing up more waves of guardsmen into the meat grinder.
More meat for... Yeah, God.
Yeah. I mean, hey, as long it kept the tanks free, the tanks got to fire all game, and that's all they needed.
Yeah, because you do like to run, like, massive blocks of, like, pikemen or, like, Gilded Legion or militia or whatever, just like huge blocks of shit that people have to chew through.
So as I was saying, going back to the army rules, is that of the 3 army rules, the giants also only benefit from one of them, which is Ice, Flesh, and Blood, which is the one that helps you ignore some of the terrain.
Mm-hmm.
Blood of the Anurhar, and Prophecy Unfulfilled. Blood of the Anurhar is only infantry and brutes, and Prophecy Unfulfilled is, I believe, anything that's not a monster. Okay. So I'm like, well, all those benefit infantry. The surprise attack benefits infantry. I do see a lot of Nords. People do like bringing the Jotnars. They like bringing the Fenrir Beast Pack. I'm like, let's try something a bit different from what I see.
Okay. No, it's good to know. Cass, how did you deal with trying to get into Nords and like learn it when you were swapping over?
Well, I mean, first of all, everything hinged around Volva and 6 stands of Valks.
Yeah, for the sex factor.
So that's where it all started. But other than that, it was just mostly looking at interactions or special rules that I liked and trying to model around that. I mean, stuff like the Fenrir Beast Packs, they wound up being very useful in good units, but that was another one where I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. I like big dogs. Big dogs and babes are kind of a good... pillars to fix my list around. So that's I mean, I want to avoid, like, I want to run stuff that I think is cool and not stuff that I don't think is cool, not to the point where I'll let it like make my list building suboptimal, but I'll try to make stuff that I think is cool work or find the way to make it work. That I also just like to try weird stuff, and it generally doesn't work, but it's interesting in any case to give it a shot. But yeah, I don't know. Mostly it's finding just interactions that I like and building around that, or units that I find interesting and building around that.
Okay. So I do like how you guys have 2 different kind of like views going into this and everything, because it really like lets people know, like, there's different ideas and ways people got into stuff, or like reasons why, or how they learned stuff and all that. So when I guess another question is like, when you guys when you faction swap, because I know like we spend a lot of money on miniature games to like buy everything for a faction, and then when we're gonna start a new faction, we gotta basically like re-spend kind of close to the same amount to like get to the same point in that new faction to our old faction. Like, was there any like monetary problems, or was there like, hey, there's the starter box kind of has like a bunch of stuff I need, and it's usually at a discount, so I'm just gonna buy like 2 or 3 of those. Like,
would you like to go first, Cass, or myself?
No, you go ahead.
Okay. For me, I got really lucky. So before I was given the Nords for the trade for the Giant, my original plan was to split the 2-player starter set and give the city states to one of our local players who has almost every army because they were looking for more hoplites, and there's I think 6 stands in there.
Yeah, that's normal.
But then I just happened to be talking about one day, and one of the players who comes by not so often, but him and his brother came by, and he's the one that got Nords of. He just heard me talking. So you're starting Nords? I'm like, yeah. He's like, I'll give you all my Nords. I just want you to buy me a Giant. I'm like, damn, that's great. And then once I got the collection, saw what he had my list built. I'm like, well, I already got all the already got all the Huskarls I need. I got all the bow chosen I need. I got one of the stalkers. I got the characters. I need to buy one stalker, one Ulfednar, and then in the bat rep, I have the 2 more units of Bear Sarks on order. But so as a result, I was just proxying Steel Legion as them.
No,
So I really haven't had to spend much so far.
Yeah, they're about the same thing.
And technically, I haven't even bought the Giant yet because I'm waiting for that to come in. And once it comes in, I'm just going to shoot him a message on Discord. So I've literally just bought 2 boxes so far. So I've gotten really lucky.
Has it even come in yet? It's like
No, because they didn't have any, there was none in stock on the store. Otherwise, I really just would have gone over and bought it for him. Like, here you go. So I got his Discord name. So once it comes in, I'm going to shoot him a message and see when he's able to come down and pick it up.
Sweet. Cass, how about you? Did you fund your Nord expedition into fur ladies? I don't know what better way to call them.
That's loaded. I'm not going to comment on that.
No, don't. Please save me for 2 seconds.
But I don't know. So for me, I don't. A lot of my brainworms are going to come out here, and I just don't give a shit. As a true Winnipegger, I love to save money and not spend the box price on things whenever possible. But I also don't like to buy like used miniatures necessarily, just because I like building the kits. Because I'm again thoroughly brainwormed in many ways. This is just one of them, but nonetheless. So I bought the Valkyries just like straight up in the Volva when they became available to pre-order, and then if you'll recall, actually both of you were instrumental into my dalliance into the Nords because Cullen, as you'll recall, I bought a box of Stalkers from you, ironically.
Oh right, I remember. Yeah.
I guess when you bought the old starter box promo.
No. So what happened was, if you don't mind me cutting in, is I bought the old 1-player starter set for 100 Kingdoms, and basically it was just a box, and inside of it would be each individual box for the kits. And instead of getting a box of Household Guard, it was a box of Stalkers in there. And like the Vanguard just said, write an email and they'll fix it. I just never got around to it. And then Cass is like, I'll buy the Stalkers. I'm like, there you go. I'm like, good enough. I'm too lazy to type an email.
Fair. Yeah, so I got those for, I recall, pretty cheap. And then Mass, I traded you the contents of the 1-player Conquest starter for a 1-player Nord starter. Or no, the 2-player, sorry, the 100 Kingdoms half of the 2-player starter, the OG one, for a Nord's 1-player starter. So that filled out a lot of my like essentials, so to speak. It was the old Nord's 1-player starter. I'm struggling to think of what it came with now. I'm pretty sure it was a. Opponent gear, something else, and then I split the City States and Nord starter with somebody as well.
I don't remember the trade because it's been so long ago. I just know I ended up with like 100k half of a 2-player starter and like a 1-player starter box and bought Steel Legion. That's kind of how I started. But I wouldn't put it past me because I know I did buy your old 100k.
Yeah.
Maybe I did buy you a Nords box.
I'm pretty sure you did. And then I split the 100 Kingdoms box, like the 100 Kingdoms, not 100 Kingdoms, sorry, City States versus Nords box with somebody I'm quite positive as well. I'm struggling to think of who that was with.
I think it was one of the brothers.
Oh, yeah. Brothers. Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, because one of them got into city states, and now the other one is taking his city states and playing it. It's like they're brothers or something, and they just like swap stuff.
Yeah.
I like how we don't address them by their human names. It's just like the brothers.
Well, we used to be discreet about people's names on here until this week. Now it's just, I guess, all bets are off. But what does it fucking matter? What are you gonna figure out with like? Oh, I'm gonna dox somebody because somebody said Chris on a podcast. Like,
Yeah,
I just don't think it's that likely.
Hearing this, Chris, they know where you are.
I'll just let me just pull up Google Maps and just read the address for our local game store. In 1 second.
Are you seriously actually gonna do it?
No, I'm not gonna do that.
I'm a little bit afraid of people doxing the game store, and then it's like, what the fuck is happening? But I'm also like, maybe people will buy product online, and then the game store has to ship to like Australia or Europe, and they're like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah, just random persons will show up on our game night and be like, Mass, I challenge you to a duel. Oh my god.
It'll be like the Pokemon trainers or whatever when I'm walking. I'll be walking home.
It's our gym. You gotta fight all the gym members.
So who's like, I have to fight through our gym?
No, they come to the gym and they fight. Instead of like having one gym master, we have like multiple gym masters.
Do they get a BonkTable patch at the end? Is that it? They
yes,
get parts
each one of us.
And
so you'll have multiple patches, and each one has a patch designated to us. And for each person they beat, they get the patch that's assigned to them.
Yeah, and then they assemble the patch, and it makes the full patch for the bonk. I'll just cut up one of the patches and be like, "Here you go. Everyone take a bit."
There you go.
Awful.
Also, that means wherever they come from, they have to come back multiple weeks to keep playing the different members.
For the patch, one guy doesn't show up for like 3 months, and it's like, God damn it! I need the center.
I'll do that if somebody like has 4 of the 5 pieces of Exodia. I'll just ghost for like 2 months.
No,
I'll arrange games on off days just to play.
You ask to see it, and then you throw it into the river like Weevil
did
in the anime.
Throw it into the red.
Yeah, don't swim in that thing after. That thing will kill you. It's also so dirty. It's such a dirty ass river. Is that what happens when I travel and I go to other stores? I have to like gym battle my way through their whole thing, and it's like, I did it. Oh man, I'm excited to go to Adepticon then, so now I can gym battle all these other players.
Interesting.
I don't know. Is there anything else about faction swapping or changing that you guys want to talk about? It's like, because these are kind of like my big questions about like how does it feel to play? What are kind of some of the differences? Here's one. Is there anything like new you learned about the game by swapping factions and playing like what your opponent plays into you?
I think for me, one thing I'm gonna have to get used to with Nords is kind of swapping out pieces. Right, like, oh, you got my stalkers with that are like 160 or with the standard bearer 170.
Mm-hmm.
But you had to commit a big brick of knights because that's just what you had on hand. And now the berserks come in and wreck your crap and just trade up. With 100 Kingdoms, as I said, I just built 2 big bricks, sent 1 left, 1 right, and my trading up was essentially you hitting me. And my regiment being big enough that even if I lost a third of the regiment, I'm still strong enough just to smack you back and kill you.
So you just grinded.
Yeah, just ground.
So now you have to learn the peace trade instead of the grind.
Yep. Now I'm playing chess instead of I don't know, the meat grinder.
Because I play 100 Kingdoms and you played 100 Kingdoms. Was there anything like when we played where you're like, I have to be worried about that? I know it, like, because everything, like all my stuff does.
Ash and Dawn.
Okay, yeah, that's true. But like,
Ash and Dawn, Steel Legion, they hit hard, but they are only defense 3. Like, they will die.
They'll die.
The Household Knights are definitely a problem. Especially the big thing about them is just their threat range, right? 7-inch move, charge is 7 plus 2 for the standard bearer, then a D6. So that's a lot of threat range.
Mm-hmm.
And especially since Nords aren't very tanky, like sure, it's only brutal impact 1, but that's against defense generally 2 or 3.
Yeah, you're just
and then if you're able. Sorry?
Well, you're just going to eat one of those.
Yeah, you're just going to eat it, and you're just going to be like, well, I got to charge him back now to lock him in, otherwise you're just going to keep rolling from regiment to regiment.
So so from that game and you playing differently to account for like Nord's weaknesses, but knowing what all my stuff is there stuff like maybe you'll learn from Nords, and then if you ever go back to 100k, you'll be like, I learned these things, so now I can do them better. Like,
I'm sure there will be. I'm not sure yet. Like I know like a simple thing is like now if I ever play Nords, like I know some Nords ideas, right? I know, better understand the units, but in general games, I'm sure I'll pick up some stuff. I'm just not, I said I've only played the one game so far, so the more I play it, I'll imagine I'll find some things.
Yeah. Cass?
Don't
even have to ask.
A little bit different for me. Going from Wadroon to Nords versus 100 Kingdoms to Nords, just because they're very as I touched on before, they're pretty comparable in terms of like their overall stat lines, but having one thing that Nords gave me that helped, I think, with my overall play was not having to worry about chance and stuff, and having overall higher output without having to be so like clever about it.
Mm-hmm.
So that without having those added layers, and also ultimately I found that well, sorry, I'll get to that in a second, I guess. Yeah, so having that consistency probably helped me just like develop playing with glass cannon factions quite a bit, and I think overall like it improved my game when I switched over to Wadroon again, because I sort of had a better understanding again of the piece trading aspect of it. But one thing I noticed, or at least that one thing that I could contrast between the two factions, is the Volva brick of Valkyries is a little more sensitive to activation orders and stuff, but it's overall quite a bit more resilient than the hard mommy Brave brick, at least in my experience. But I also never ran war with Braves, so that might have been a thing there. But you know what? You don't have to do that. You just spend a bunch of points to get Bastion, and then you just have to win the supremacy when the time comes. So with Nords, and that's the main difference there. But that's also, again, generally in my experience, or at least with the tools that I had at the time, easier to manage than the chance. But I don't know. In that sense, there's getting two flavors of the same, like getting two kinds of chocolate, so to speak, has been helped me develop my understanding of the flavor of chocolate overall. Continue with the metaphor.
It seemed like Nords allowed you to work on your fundamentals of the game, and you didn't have to worry about chanting. And then when you went back to chanting, because you had your fundamentals more down, you could chant better. Like you could focus on learning that aspect of like your faction specific rulings.
Yeah, I also think that not having to worry about chance as much let me focus more on building my command deck as well. So that in line with the fundamentals, I think was a skill that's a little bit harder to develop when you're also trying to like plan for chance over the course of a turn. Not that it's impossible, but like Wadroon are just not a novice faction. It's just even if chance, once you get them down, like it's relatively. Like now, even without a drum beast, which I'll eventually be cutting from my list, because I have it, I need to use it a few times. I don't have to worry as much about getting my chance right, but I've just gotten better at it overall, and that's come with time. But when I started the game, it was like the meme about how your chant gets interrupted and then they're fucked up for the next 5 games. Like that was my lived experience.
Well, that's good.
So I don't know. It's Nords overall, I would say a little more. I wouldn't say an easier faction to play, but a little more straightforward to pilot, which is probably good if you're new to glass cannony armies. But
I know for myself when I played that Dwag game, because I was looking very hard at Dwag at the time, of like what, like, because I was like, okay, Dwag's oppressive, so. For the listeners, this is Dwag back in the middle of summer before the September updates. Dwag has changed and is in a much better spot. But there's a point where Dwag was pretty ridiculous. And like I played that game into you, and it was mostly just because I wanted to like see and show the absurdity of like Dweg and where it was at, and just like because I was doing so much research into it of like figuring out, okay, where's like the castle build, how am I going to castle, how am I going to do this, I'm like, how much damage am I going to take, and then I just did it all, and it was like really easy to play, and it was like, but I think that's more from like previous wargame experience of just like, okay, this is just a stats faction, I just ram shit into my opponent and roll dice, I don't have to really like think or figure it out. What's a really easy thing to play. And I just kind of wanted to make that battle port to be like, Dweg is very good at that time, and like maybe like there's something going on here, and like players need to be made aware of it. However, like with September Dweg, you can very much play into them and have a game and not feel like you're getting stomped on. So
yeah, new Dweg are fine in my experience.
Yeah,
I haven't played the new Dweg yet, but I know like the old Dweg, I absolutely dreaded playing it. And I'm like, I've won. Like I remember playing against Bailey once. Yeah. I literally only won because I rushed the objectives, and then pretty much got entirely tabled except for some Ashen Dawn and a backfield unit, but just was able to hold the points just long enough to like win the advantage. And this was back when there was the hammer and anvil style deployments, so Vanguard like really saved my butt. Yeah. It was the old grind them down. So I just held one of the back 2 points, rushed the center, and then Ashen Dawn went up one of the sides. I had a whole unit of hold things with a sorcerer, ground through a unit of Ashen Dawn, a unit of Order of the Sword, which was 6 stands, and a unit of Gilded Legion with the Imperial Officer, which I think was 8 stands, and then the Officer to make 9.
Jesus.
And just that one unit of Thanes ground through that. Because they I think they swapped it around, so like they had a sorcerer with some hold ballista, and then they seek new escort behind them into the hold thanes.
What the fuck? Okay.
Yeah, it's like and then that's the thing, like hold thanes are also even now. I just don't want to face them because 100 Kingdoms have a lot of cleave, but it's almost all one, and they're hardened 1 with a shield with defense 3. So it's like everything bounces.
Yeah, no, it's really tough, and I'm just like Hardened 1's a great counter to 100 Kingdoms just because of all our cleave and AP1 shooting and attacks, and there's only like 3 things in our entire faction that get above cleave 1. And even then, like, Wedge is done on a charge with Ashen Dawn, so it's still... Yeah.
So you got Steel Legion, you got Ashen Dawn with Wedge. What's the third thing?
Crimson Towers is Brutal Impact 2.
Oh, with Brutal Impact, yeah.
Well, there's also the Mounted Noble Lord, but he's just one guy. I don't give a shit.
I mean, that's the character.
Yeah, who cares about him? He's not a real person.
No.
Yeah. So there's like I actually thought about swapping to Nords. I feel like Nords. So now my thing is like, why is everyone swapping to Nords? Because for Cullen, you mentioned that we had a hole in the meta where it was basically like no one was playing Nords. We had a couple of people who kind of came in and then kind of like moved to other factions. And you're kind of looking at it of like something new to try and also learn and then fill that hole.
Yeah.
Cass's example.
Just horny.
Yeah.
That's why I switched.
A perfectly valid reason for many things.
It's not. Let's put too fine of a point on it.
There are people who play Sisters of Battle. Okay.
If I remember correctly, you were the only person in the club who, when the Valkyries came out, were like, "I'm getting multiple boxes." You're just the only one who followed through.
Yeah, I was the only one with the juice to do it.
Yeah.
I sold all my Wadroon for all the Velks. You're just run unit of like 40 Velks. You're like, I have them all. Yeah. Do we have? I guess our meta has like every faction covered. If you're playing Nords,
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah. We got people playing City States. We got people playing Wadroon. Well, just Cass.
I mean, to be fair, one player can cover over half the faction just on their own. I think they have 4.
Is that Derek?
Yeah, Derek.
Yeah, he's like, I love this game. That's like, sweet Derek. I should get a game into him. Have I got? No, I haven't yet.
But I think he's mainly just doing Spires right now.
Yeah.
And then when he's not, it's City States.
Wait until he learns about VCI. And March the
I think he's currently on the what's it called?
Is it
the Incarnate Sentinel train.
Yeah, so like Spires is a weird one to start out with, just because you like starting with Spires is weird, but I feel like swapping to Spires is much better because then you like if you play another faction, maybe it's not with Drune, you'll have like your fundamentals down to like play it, and then you can do all the weird Spires shit.
I think it depends. Like, you can definitely be complicated if you go into the Ferromancies and Biomancies, trying to do that. But I think you just do the Mouth Breather build and just go with a Lineage Highborn as your Warlord. Have 2 units of Avatar, 1 minimum, 1 at 6 stands with a Standard Bearer and Superior Creations, and then 2 regiments of Incarnate Sentinels, 1 at 6 stands, 1 at 5 stands at the, who are they called? The Lineage Highborn is going in. That's already like 1,200, I don't know, some crazy amount of points.
Yeah.
And you're sprinkling in like just a High Clone Executor and just whatever you want him. Generally, probably some Marksman clones. And then you don't even have to worry about it. You're just playing the base game. You just Mouth Breathe with Defense 4 down everyone's throat.
Yeah, but once you start doing all like the weird shooting stuff in the Biomancer Ferromancer.
Oh yeah, that's when stuff gets crazy.
Yeah, like especially the Ferromancer. I played in a game with double Ferromancer. I was like, this is fucking nuts. That -1 defense ability they have is fucking crazy good.
Yeah. Don't worry, just wait until they get Desolation drones and they stack it with them, so now it's -2.
I want to go home. I want to go home and rethink my life. Why?
Or the Desolation Beast as well.
Maybe that's why everyone's moving factions, because 100 Kingdoms is just very samey.
I mean, I like the human, the generic humans, but it is, it is generic. I do like it, but it can be a bit, nice to spice it up from time to time.
Reprocessing agents. At the end of this regiment's barrage, after defense have been made, any wounds being allocated to target, the regiment suffers -1 to the defense characteristic. Yeah, that's mean. And
turns out
they're only on range 12 though, so it's not bad, but still really good. What's up?
Turns out I was wrong. The Desolation Beast does not have reprocessing agents. I wonder if it will eventually get it.
Yeah, however, Desolation drones, range 12, barrage 3, but they have torrential fire, armor piercing, and deadly shot. Like,
yeah, I mean, they'll die if you try and like go up to something head on, but if you can get something that's already melee and get up on the side, like they're just gonna yeah.
Torrential fire doesn't go into effect until they're in effective range 6 inches away. Oh my god, these poor bastards.
Oh, and then funny enough, they're kind of like a little trolley, because then when someone charges and kills them, lethal demise, buddy.
Yeah, they're just wanting to die. They're like, do it. They hit you with that -1 defense, and you charge into them at -1 defense, and they explode upon you. That's their game plan. That is horrid.
I was gonna say, imagine being like needing like 6.5 inches away, right? Needing a 2 up to get in with infantry. Just double rolling 1, move 1 inches or 1 inch. Now you're 5.5, shoot at half, and now you get torrential fired.
Yeah, it's.
I calculated approximately what the points would have been for that force grown drone brick, and if it was 6, it's just barely a comparable trade. If it was a 9 brick, which I don't remember for sure, then I did great, even losing my Tauntaur. So
okay, you can only sack 6 stands of force grown drones or less into a Tauntaur to kill it with lethal demise. We have learned today. I don't think that's enough. Do you take resolve on lethal demise, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh god, that's horrid.
That's what got me.
Yeah, I'm not surprised on that one. But well, you are oblivious. I guess that helped a bit.
Yeah. Although now that I'm thinking about it, I wonder if I think I might have been taking my full resolves that game. I always forget about oblivious.
Yeah, there's rules that I forget. I think the null mage, I forget about her like 10 inches of like if you any spellcasting dice that failed take a wound, and I'm like, maybe this should have gone off.
Yeah, in my first Nord game, I completely forgot. Well, actually, Blooded Einherjar, or Einherjar. I remembered the part where if I win in kill the character in the duel, I break the regiment.
Mm-hmm.
Completely forgot about the part on when I'm damaged, I get an additional attack.
That just sounds like you need to play more games.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, we only meet up once a week.
Well, yeah, but I'm home for like 2. We could meet up 2 times a week.
I guess so.
Yeah, people like to watch.
Yeah, I was actually gonna see. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, that is my comment.
I mean, it's weird to have this on the.
Sorry. Go ahead, Cass.
It's never gonna happen. I want to play extra games coming up, so we should try to arrange that if we're both looking for more games.
I'm off tomorrow. I'll see you both at the game store 10 a.m. sharp when it opens.
What are you talking about? I have shit to do before I leave for work.
That's okay. It can be procrastinate.
I simply have a day job that, as much as I would love to just fuck off from, it's not how it'd be.
Cullen, if you're outside my fucking house at 10 a.m. and you're like, have a table set up, like a random Pokemon challenger, I'd be like, this
in the
fucking
snowbank.
Yeah, in the snowbank. I'll be like, what the fuck is going on?
Don't worry, I've already gathered the snow to make a chair for each of us.
Thank you. That's very kind of you. But also,
we have our judge, Frosty the Snowman.
Shove a beer.
But he doesn't have eyes. I didn't have stones, so he can't see.
I'll just get 2 beers.
When we break the rules.
I'll just get 2 beers and shove it into his eyes, and like keep it cold until it's time to drink.
But he's gonna have bad vision then because he's drunk.
That's okay. He doesn't have to drive. He doesn't have his license.
Well, yeah, he's only a few hours old, so he can't apply yet.
Yeah, but he still has to get a job and pay taxes.
Exactly. He's gotta support the country in this economy.
Yeah, he's Frosty the Snowman, not Frosty the Snowboy.
Exactly.
Right. God. I don't know how to properly say this. I was asked to watch the Pinocchio movie from what's his name? Guillermo del Toro? Yeah, Guillermo del Toro.
Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah, that one. My God, if like watching that movie and seeing Pinocchio walk, I'd be like, that is an eldritch abomination. Cut it and burn it quick. That thing is horrifying. It ends up like walking normally, but like its introduction is just like, oh Jesus Christ, that thing came out of the ceiling.
It's a classic creepy thing approach.
Yeah, it's like, thank you, Guillermo del Toro. I always wanted to be terrified. Pretty sure.
I'm glad I've never seen it.
Yeah, it's a good movie. It's not like amazing, but it's also not bad. It's solid. It's a solid movie, especially like it's also doing like a children's tale.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I remember as a kid, the first time I watched the Aliens movie. Yeah, that was nightmares for a good week.
The chest burster scene is just like, oh God.
Oh no! The first one I watched was the second one.
Oh.
So, like, I think I remember the part where they go into the hive at the start and they just get swarmed because they they couldn't bring their rifles, so they just had the one guy pulled out his shotgun.
Yeah. And just shooting in there because they're gonna hit the reactor and make the whole place explode.
Yeah, the reactor essentially have it detonate.
I think the first Aliens movie I watched was actually Alien Resurrection, the fourth one. It was like, what the fuck is this? The aliens were swimming, and then I think there was the scene where it was all like the test tube Ripley's, and they're all like malformed. It was like, oh boy.
I have a similar experience, but for video games. The very first Mass Effect I finished was Andromeda.
Oh my God, the faces must have been terrifying.
What do you mean? They were just tired.
They're just a little sleepy. Okay.
Yeah.
I never played that game, but I did hear that it was not that great.
I remember I was on the ice planet. I was trying to basically not completely 100%, but close to 100%. I could actually feel my brain melting as I was going around. I was actually losing higher brain function doing that.
What was a game that I was trying to 100% and just getting annoyed? Oh, I was trying to 100% Witcher 3, and I did Novigrad and all the other stuff, and then it was I got the Skellig, and you had to boat around, and it was finding treasure underwater, and it was just it's the same thing over, and it was just all over the place. I'm like, this fucking taking forever. I eventually gave up and just went, and it was like, fuck this. It's all treasure in the water. Yeah. There's nothing cool out here. It'd be really cool if a giant sea monster came up and just ate your ass. Just like, nah!
Yep, that's what we're all looking for after all.
Giant sea monster, the new abomination.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of that thing?
It's interesting.
It's
sorry,
it's good. It's a good sculpt, but it's it's hard for me to get excited about updated sculpts when there's unreleased models. I guess, if I'm being honest.
I think Spire's aesthetic generally for me is just not my cup of tea.
Mhm.
So I'm not kind of into the whole like potential like body horror in a way, and just all sorts of things. But yeah, I don't know. It looks cool. It's definitely an upgrade over the old one, but I said just not my cup of tea. So I don't really care that much.
I don't. Is there anything else about faction swapping or like changing factions we want to talk about? Anything you guys want to bring up?
Don't do two identical factions, I guess.
Yeah.
If you're swapping, try and switch it up.
I was gonna say another thing with like swapping is even if you don't do for example, if you're having problems against a faction, like that faction's it's bullshit, all that. Sometimes playing it can be show you like why it's wrong. There's actually been a while I've been wanting to swap with a couple people, but I've never got around to doing like, hey, why don't we just swap armies next week? But I never actually ended up doing it just to see like how it plays from the other side. Like for example, I know a lot of people get annoyed grinding through 11 stands at Gilded Legion. I'm like, well, let me see if I can do it.
Yeah, know where all the weak points are. That's actually a really good one. I've done that a ton in War Machine actually, where I would just borrow my opponent's stuff and play, or do we just like swap sides when we set up if we've done the matchup way too many times? Like I don't know, I'd be down. I find with Conquest though, like because like 100k really lets you work on your positioning and like where you are on the table because it doesn't have like a huge amount of tricks compared to other factions that it really lets you get your fundamentals down and playing other factions you can just take those fundamentals and be successful with them. So yeah, I do see that, and I don't know, maybe I should swap to Spire so I can because I got my fundamentals down, so now I can do weird Spire shit.
I was gonna say you gotta look around in the meta, see what the new least played faction is, and you gotta hop to that.
Yeah, Sorcerer Kings because it's not out yet.
But isn't half the club planning on hopping over the Sorcerer Kings hype train the moment they drop?
Yeah, I know where Vanguard is. I know for sure he is.
Derek's probably gonna get it because he gets every army.
Yeah, he has to be game complete, not faction complete. Game complete.
Dang right.
Depending on how the elephants look, I might, but.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it myself. I would probably just go into the Ungol faction, like they're Mongols, just nothing but cav, horse archer spam.
It's supposed to be like a very elite army, and has like really good magic, but it's like quote supposed to be.
I'm not much of a magic guy.
Yeah, considering we both have kind of put chapter mages onto the shelf.
I mean, it was fun back when they were healing like 12 wounds a turn, but that was also just dumb.
Oh yeah, it was brutal.
Well, I remember way back when we first started playing, you would Steel Legion go into as proxying men at arms as court squires, but which no longer exist.
Yeah,
and you couldn't get through because I was just healing, and I had 2 units of longbowmen back when I think the one game I played were back when they were volley 3.
Yeah,
and they were just taking aim to volley 4, just.
Yeah, and you're like,
just machine gunning you down.
It's fucking brutal. I'm kind of like sad about current longbows because they're basically just merc crossbows that last until the end of the game, and I'm like, yeah, and then like I don't know.
Just make them barrage 4.
Just be barrage 4 base. You can take aim to 5. And actually, give them deadly
barrage
shot.
4, not volley 4.
Actually, well, give them fucking volley 4 as well. Why not? Fuck it. Bring it back.
Then I think they're gonna have to go up to like 175 points then or something.
Yeah, but it'd be worth it. Look at fucking was it marksman clones? They do work.
Barrage 5.
Yeah. I was talking to Leandros about that. It's like because he's asking me about like things that I find difficult. I'm like, everything in 100k is barrage 3, and it's fucking annoying sometimes. I'm just like, man, can we have a 4, please? Or like,
well, I remember
a volley higher than 2. It's not Imperial Ranger Corps. Like, I don't know, something. Maybe put in an upgrade or whatever. Like, it's just kind of.
Well, it'd also be nice if there were more officers that the range units could take. Because the only range unit that can take an officer is the Hunter Cadre, which are really more of a range unit. Or sorry, melee unit wearing the mask of a range unit.
Well, they could still shoot you effectively, and then if you ever get close, they can stab you.
I know. I consider them more of a melee unit that can shoot than a range unit that can melee.
I consider them a range unit that can melee when I bump their volley up, so they can take aim before and be like.
But so like I think if, as I said, if the range units get officers that are actually usable, then you can just veterans them up to volley 3, or in the case of the pure range corps, volley 4.
Yeah.
I think it's just, yeah, that's the one thing that bugs me with veterans is there's a large chunk of the army list that actually just can't use it.
Yeah, because it seems like some like design choices are being left out because of veterans, because they're like, we don't want this to have veterans, so we can't give this an officer to give it like some other cool ability you'll pay some points for.
Mm.
So like I feel like that's kind of limited at 100 Kingdoms in a way, because a lot of the time it's like, hey, how do we balance this cool ability onto a unit? It's like, well, we could just turn into an officer.
One thing I would like is, for example, the militia can take the Errant of the Order Shield for always inspired and +2 attacks. I would like it that if it was on a militia bowman, instead added +2 barrage to the command stand and made them always count as taking aim. Gave them the rule that exists for over a year, but no unit has it. Dead shots.
Dead shots. It's in the rule book. Look it up.
It's been in there for at least a year, but nothing has it. No upgrades, no characters, no regiments.
I swear there was back in 1.15. It was actually on Aspire's unit.
Maybe,
but it's not in there now. So what, they'd be they're volley 1, they veterans to 2,
and then they're always count as taking aim.
3, range 16.
Make them a little interesting.
Yeah, but then they're like, how many points is an Errant of the Order of Shield?
10.
So then you're paying 20, you're 75, so you're paying 95 for volley 3 on range 16, so you're getting cheaper Imperial Ranger Corps? Jesus.
Yeah, but you don't have
just
evasion.
As long too.
You don't have evasion, you don't have fluid formation or Vanguard.
Well, you're evasion 1, you get Vanguard from the Imperial... you're evasion 1, so whatever. You get Vanguard from the Imperial Officer, so you're still running around very quickly. Like,
I don't know. I think that might get changed up in the new Balance Edition.
Yeah, there's... I don't know. As I play more and more 100k, there's getting to like a point where it's like, okay, I've kind of... I don't want to say like I've hit a wall, but I've kind of like... There's some things where I'm like, I don't really look at or touch anymore because I'm like, this hasn't been working out. And then when I do go back to touch it, it's just like, So maybe so that was kind of like why I wanted, like, I bought Nords a while back. I gave them to a buddy to build, and maybe he'll come out and play at some point. But I just don't have time to build them. Because I was just kind of hitting a point with 100k where it was just kind of like, I didn't know if there was more in the barrel to dig. Like, I'll use that analogy, where it's kind of like, have I gone and fully explored this faction? The answer is no, but I've done enough of it where I feel very confident and comfortable with it that I look at other factions and the things they're doing, and I'm kind of like, I want to play with those toys.
Yeah, that's kind of why I swapped as well. Because I said I mainly just ran the infantry bricks. Like, when we started 1.5, you and me both pretty quickly discovered how disgusting Household Knights were with the Mountain Noble Horde.
Because
I then stopped doing that because people were not enjoying that.
I kept doing it.
Yeah, well, it was also worse because we had two people who regularly showed up, and when sometimes we only have 4 or 6 players. So like, potentially half the list was that.
There was no
and then
choice.
I just kept running bricks, and then I went back to Cav for the past 2 months or so, and yeah, it was actually quite the eye opener going back to Cav. Like, everything's movement 7, 8, or 9.
Did you? So hey, because I know there was like 2 games I played where I went with like bricks and everything, and I was like, maybe I'm not very good at bricks, and I do believe that is the answer. Like, I'm not very good at bricks because I don't play it very often, but I am good at Cav because I play a lot of Cav. Did you find with Cav that there was like, I'm fast in the infantry, but it's like still stuff is out of charge range, or they're just out like of a nice charge? You're just kind of like, God damn it, I need to get you, but I need to be like slightly faster.
No, not really. I'd say going from infantry cavalry, I'm like, holy crap, I am so damn fast. It is turn 2, and I'm swarming their backfield with like mounted squires. The Household Knights are right behind them. And it's like, it'd be crazy. Like, turn 3, if I get lucky with the second Ashen Dawn, because generally what I was running was Mountain Noble Lord with 2 mounted squires veteraned up, a brick of Household Knights veteraned up, and then the minimum size unit of Household Knights just to be like a backfield scorer or like sweeper unit. Just kind of filling gaps. And then a priority commander for Sealed Temple with 2 Sealed Temple and 2 Ashen Dawn. And so I think in one of the games I was playing against, I forget who it was, but I got good reinforcement rolls. My whole entire army was on turn 3, and I'm just looking like, damn, like
it's go time.
I got like, well, it's just how like the mounted squires are just so far up. Like for example, I was actually playing Derek when he was playing City States, and we were doing Echelon. Turn 2, my Household Knights were able to charge the far center point and just take it from him, which is like, it's what 18 inches up for him, but for me it's what 30, and I beat him to it.
Jesus,
it was like, it's insane to go on that fast, especially when, as I said, I'm used to just movement 5 base, maybe movement 6 on a Imperial Ranger Corps, and then going from that to like the slowest is movement 7 with 2 units that are movement 8 and 2 units that are movement 9. It's like, holy. I was like Sonic the Hedgehog.
So I do agree with that, because like I remember playing my all cav list for like, I want to say like into the summer and fall, and it was very just like I would just like charge forward and just take stuff from people, and people are like scrambling to get into good positions, do counterattacks, but then I'm like my other set of horses are nearby that can hit them. But when I started playing like a combined arms between infantry and cavalry, I didn't have like a ton of cavalry to just do that fast blitz up the table to kind of like hold and set the line. So I had to play a little bit more cagey with my calves so they could still be effective. And I'm kind of playing like a mix between infantry and cavalry right now for my lists. So I'm kind of finding that. My current list, basically everything is on the table by turn 3, and I think like there's like one regiment that might be coming on turn 4 kind of thing. So it's like a majority of it's on by turn 3. That's really good. I am going to send you a list.
Okay.
I played Carl the other day on TTS, and then we chatted, and then he sent me that list. So for the listener, I haven't played this list, but I'm kind of looking at it to play it, and it's called Here You Go Mass, because I had the Here You Go Carl list. Imperial Officer Warlord, brace for impact on your feet, so Bastion and double time. Tactics 1 through 3. He's got a Unimerc crossbow. He's got 5 stands of the Steel Legion with a standard bearer. That's his first warband. Second warband is a prior commander's Sealed Temple. No upgrades. Order of the Sealed Temple. 5 stands of Order of the Ashen Dawn with a standard bearer. And then his last warband is Warlord, Noble Lord. He'd probably throw a Weapon Master on that guy, so he has Cleave 1. Household Guard, 8 stands with a standard bearer and arms master. I'm pretty sure this isn't Relentless Drills. It is. And he's got Merc crossbows, so another unit, and then 2 units of Household Knights with standard bearer. So it is 2 lights, 1, 2, 3, 4 mediums, and 2 heavies. So the 2 heavies are auto going to be on by turn 3. The 2 lights are auto going to be on by turn 3, and you should have at least 1 heavy, but then you're rolling for a bunch. So you can get a lot of this list on by turn 3 and 4. What do you... So basically, like, I've kind of looked at it. I kind of like... So I had my previous list, and it's kind of a stripped down version of that.
Yep.
Just taking out upgrades, and it's kind of... Because they're... Like, Carl plays Spires, and he's like, you only take the upgrades you need, nothing more. And basically, he doesn't put anything on the units. And just gets more regiments, so he's kind of done that with 100k. What do you think about this list? Because right now my thoughts are, it seems to be quick. What's good with the Vanguard? So like if it's infantry, it's getting Vanguard. If it's a horse, it's a horse. It's got some punch in the Steel Legion in the Order of the Ashen Dawn. It's got some stability with the Order of Ashen Dawn. Not so much with the Household Guard. I find they die super quick because they're just defense 3. Household Knights running around with MSUs at defense 4 is kind of nice because they can just tie, like they can protect flanks, and they can just be in the way. Like they're not your damage dealers. They're more of just like get the fuck in the way guys. And also being speed 7 is kind of nice for them. So what do you think of that?
I like it a fair bit. Like you talking about the Household Knights. I know when it 2.0 dropped, you were very on the Household Knight like hate train a little with how they changed.
Yeah, 100%.
But what's it called? I was actually reading funny enough, a Goonhammer article about it, and they were talking about like 140 points for defense 3 with a shield, 5 attacks stand, 3 stand bearer. At the start of 2.0, I was playing Cass a lot, and I was getting real sick and tired of either slingers with torrential fire, back when it was double hits instead of every second, and full resolve instead of every other one. And if it wasn't slingers and Madroon, it was bow chosen and Nords. So I changed out my list, and I specifically started bringing 2 household knights just to run down archers. I was getting so sick and tired of being shot.
Yeah, because
they do pretty good. Like, that's the thing, though. They're not how you think of knights where they charge in and they killed on the charge. But, like, against low defense stuff like archers, like defense 3 or defense 4 with the shield and then 5 attacks, like, you'll mess up a lot of archers.
Yeah, no, their Clash 2 really puts me, like, in a sour mood because I don't value Clash 2 at all. If they're Clash 2, I'm like, I'm never attacking with you. I'm never going to do any work. But just tying up and holding things, I think they do a good job at that. Like, just getting in the way because they're quick, they're defensible enough where it's a pain in the ass to kind of kill them with anything light, and you need a dedicated thing to that can kill to just get rid of them nicely. But then that's putting that dedicated kill thing into Household Knights, while there's other stuff in the list you want to put that dedicated kill thing, like your Hammer Regiment, into.
Mm-hmm.
So, like Ashen Dawn, Steel Legion, probably the Household Guard. While I'm kind of like, I've been kind of like not thinking, but like by looking at the list, kind of breaking it down and figuring out like what it's kind of wanting to do, and then seeing how other people play games and other metas, I kind of like, I'm gonna probably give this list a try it like when I get back home from work, so like in January, and I think it has legs. I want to see how it goes, because like one of our problems in our meta is that we have good Dwag players, and you need cleave to kill Dwag. But and kind of like I want to say, stalling out Dwag has not been a solution in our meta. While I feel like a stall out list like this will work into like city states, spires, Nords, like other factions. So I want to play it. I'll probably end up having to play this into a Dwag game at some point and just see how it goes.
I generally like the whole list. I know, as I said, I agree with Carl not spending too many points on characters. I generally do this by limiting my amount of characters. I generally try not to run more than 2 characters in the list, and then I take some upgrades for them. Like I said, impact, brace for impact. Or sorry, that's just base, but tactical 1 to 3, great for Imperial Officer. Mm-hmm. One thing, I know points are tight, but a great thing for Imperial Officer, what are they called? Or Armor of Dominion. It is it is absolutely hands down the best heirloom in the 100 Kingdoms.
Or Standard Steel, if you can't get. But you're playing probably the same points, but like Standard Steel or Dominion or Armor of Dominion are like the top 2 heirlooms in 100K.
Yeah, the only thing I do like, one thing I do like to do is for the Noble Lord in the Household Guard. Mm-hmm. I like to give him Tactical 1, which unfortunately is restricted, so you're paying double points. But it gives the Big Brick, who at this point, and when they're at max size, Resolve 5, Indomitable. And then I take, what's it called? Regalia of the Empire, to give the Household Guard Dauntless, so they're always inspired, and they cannot be broken.
Yeah, that's really good. Which combines
nicely with the Mastery Eccentric Fighting Style. So this gives the Noble Lord +2 attacks, and he gets to reroll his misses. Downside is, he has to reroll his successful wound saves. But, because the regiment he isn't Dauntless and never breaks, unless you're fighting the mage, you just never duel.
Yeah.
And if you say no, you don't break.
No, that's been a really fun one. I always love like someone trying to duel the Noble Lord. I'm like, nah, I just say no.
And not to mention, the Noble Lord becomes like a nice little mini blender like that. He becomes 6 attacks at cleave 1 with always inspired to clash 4, and then he rerolls all his hits like he has, as if he had flurry. So he quite often will hit with 5, if not 6, of those attacks.
Yeah, no, it's really good and solid. Surprisingly, how much work you can get out of a Foot Noble Lord in a unit of Household Guard. My issue with Household Guard though is that they're a great medium killer, like going after other mediums and lights. I find they do really good until about 90% of those regiments, and then just the size of it. I find their problem is when they go into like anything with like Cleave 2. just rips through them.
Yeah.
Just rips right through them very quickly, and it's like, okay, and now they're dead.
The way I try and get around that, since I tend to run big bricks, like instead of having those Ashen Dawn, Sealed Temple, and Steel Legion, I would generally have like double Imperial Ranger Corps with the Imperial Officer, and have a brick of either 8 or 11 stands of Gilded Legion. And then what I do is, if I generally leave the Gilded Legion, since it's so big, they just hold a flank on their own. They don't need any support, especially because they don't care if they get flanked. They have what's it called?
Iron Discipline.
Yeah. And with all the support and all the attacks, they can take a beating. So what I do is I just support the Household Guard. I'll flank them with the Imperial Ranger Corps if there's no objectives for them to take out. Household Knights to potentially set up for side charges. So I kind of offset that by just bringing in support.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I think that's probably the way to do it. Like I in this list, the Household Knights I think are going to do really well supporting the Household Guard brick, because that's kind of like what they want to be around, and also them being fast in the Household Guard means they can just like get into better positions to cover the flanks of it.
Plus, just push an enemy flank. Like if they leave something on guard, you can just run them up the board edge, and
Oh yeah, they're great, just like zone stealers as well.
Yep, zone stealers. Like, oh, you're not gonna contest me, and we're playing Echelon. I'm just gonna go hit your far back point. Like, I'll just do that. And then you just come around, and now, or if you don't need that, you can, just say a piece of garrison or impassable, and you come around the corner, and then you're hitting the back of whatever melee's going on.
Oh yeah, that's true. No, I think this is like, not talking about it with you is just, I think that like, I would say, hey, because you're probably gonna play more games. If you're like, oh, I'm gonna go back to 100K for a week, I would say go play this. I believe you have all these models. But if you're like on your Nords train, go on your Nords train. I think I'm gonna come back with this list.
Whenever I play you, that's when I'll bring out the 100 Kings. As I said, that's the plan. I'm gonna have layers in my case. Top layers Nords. I'm gonna set it up on the table.
No.
And the moment you stand across me as my opponent, all the Nords are going back in the box, and the 100 Kings are popping up. The mirror match must go on.
No,
Yes. Why do you hate the mirror match so much?
I don't know.
Like
because it's just so monotonous, and it's literally just waiting.
Not monotonous.
Because we know exactly what everything does, and it's literally just being like, did my opponent make a tiny mistake, and did I capitalize it? Yes, I win. If my opponent didn't, no, I lose. Like, or not lose, but stalls.
If you to play every faction, then does all factions then become monotonous because you've learned them all?
No, because the matchups are different, and I can have fun in them. Like, I find whenever I play into 100K, unless I'm being like really stupid, it's very much just like finding that one little mistake, or finally like getting enough force or like pressure onto your opponent where you can go for it, and then just smash something and then break through and kill them. Or if they do it to you, like that's I find it like a little too samey.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say the whole playing stupid. You remember when the Order of the Crimson Tower dropped over a year ago, and we had our 39 stands of cavalry between the two of us. I charge into your side, kill your regiment. You charge into my side, kill my regiment. I go into your side. Yeah, literally just playing checkers.
Yeah, well, that's all we did. Such a
and then also the
that was in your Hunter Cadre with Evasion 2
Hunter Cadre that just ate 2 charges and like.
Yeah, and then crashed back and killed everything, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah, you had what, 6 stands of Household Knights go into them at the front, and they're like, "Evasion 2 down, pass 80% of the saves, please."
Yeah, it's just like fuck.
And then just cleaved you back. You just like bombed your saves.
Yeah, it was super annoying. Oh god, that was those are one of those games where I was just like, "Fuck, I hate this."
I mean, I was loving it.
I know you were loving it because you're just like, "Oh, having the time of my life." Trolling mass, and I'm like, god damn it.
There's this fact about life. I don't know what it is. You can derive a certain happiness from causing misery to others.
What is wrong with you?
Absolutely nothing.
Obviously. Cass, you enjoying yourself over there?
Yeah, this is a great reminiscence about the last year of 100 Kingdoms.
Jesus. Thank you, Cass. Oh my god. Yeah, I don't know more about faction swapping I could really talk about. It's really just like you kind of have your reasons. It's kind of I don't know.
I guess one other thing I would say, which we were kind of talking about earlier, is like not even necessarily faction swapping, but like swapping within your faction, like different units, different playstyles. I said like going from I was playing all infantry to all cavalry, your reverse. And yeah, because obviously there are the different sub factions in the army, and other ideas. For example, you're playing Spires, going from like a whole horde with bound clones and forest grown drones and onslaught drones, and going from that over to like the Avatar blobs.
Oh
Or,
yeah,
you know,
like
going from like a kaiju monster battle to something else.
just change the playstyle. So here's one of the things I do like about the faction is that you can do that within the faction itself. Like you don't have to faction swap to get that playstyle. Like 100k, you can do shooting heavy, you can do like elite heavy, you can do chaff heavy. Like you have it all. And then Spires also has it, but in a different way. Like they're working at like lethal demise, aura of death, regeneration, healing for their chaff. They got some hard hitting stuff with like the incarnates. Like I feel a lot of the factions can do that. I know at Nords they can do some weirder stuff where it's like really cheap chaff in the raiders, but then have the mountain Jotnars just come in as support and just start smacking everything to death and like running raiders and mountain Jotnars, and that's just the list.
I mean, you just do the raider all evasion list with the Volva as the warlord, and you just run everything everything in the army is at least evasion 1 to start, and then it all gets bumped up to evasion 2. Just run nothing but trolls, raiders, bow chosen, steel chosen when they come out, Fenner, and you're like, oh, Dwagholm with all your cleave and armor piercing. I do not care.
Where's raiders? I gotta go. Where the heck is it? Raiders R T. Why can't I find raiders? There they are. Okay, so they're evasion 1 base. The Volva then gives them 2. So is it just like the Volva warlord trait where you just kind of like go to?
Yeah, it gives to the Ein Herjar. As long as she's on the table, everything gets +1 evasion to a maximum of 2.
No, that sounds really mean. Well, I've dealt with it before. That's the problem. So I know it's already mean.
So you get bow chosen back to the rolled evasion 2.
No.
Yeah, but unfortunately, you can't get their range back to 16.
They were good. It's like they're still good. They just now have actual counterplay where you can kind of get to them before they just.
Yeah, well, you have to get a little bit closer, and then you get hit a little harder on the counter hit.
Well, so at range 16, they probably got like 2 rounds of shooting in and just kind of like dunked on whatever was shooting them or was coming for them. Now at range 14, they get 1 round of shooting and they might get a second round depending on activation order.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I found that change a lot, like what it really did. Like their offensive capability is still the same and is very strong.
I'm looking forward to the Steel Chosen. Defense 3 with evasion 1. Make the Volva their evasion 2. The Resolve 4, give them the Scald for Resolve 5. They have Oblivious, and guess what? 7 wounds, a stand.
Yay.
And then offensively, they're 4 attacks at Clash 3 with Cleave 2. 200 points.
200 points.
Same price as the old Fednar.
Are they heavy? I gotta look at them now.
They are heavy. Mainstay only for the Conan gear. But they are mainstay. You just spam them.
Yeah, who cares? Get 4 units of those things.
The only downside is the Conan gear can't take full tactical to get flanked, and you just like have bring 2 units of 6 on at once.
It's not Blade Chosen. Where are they? Steel Chosen?
Steel Chosen.
Yeah,
at the bottom. Oh.
Cleave 2 Oblivious. 7 wounds. Holy crap.
Yeah. They're Nord Chosen of Conquest.
Yeah, no shit. Also, they get a skull egg for Resolve +1 to go to Resolve 5. Oh my god.
And Bravery, so they unbreak and they don't care about Terrifying, and then they have Oblivious, so it's like, what is Resolve?
Yeah, they're very much an anti-Resolve guy. Like, Defense 3 kind of sucks, but I guess Evasion 2, if you Volva it, is a little better.
Yeah, I mean,
but they also have 7 wounds per stand, so they can easily just take the hits.
With, Cleave 2.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for only 200 points, not bad.
Not bad.
I mean, 235 if you bring the Scald. But honestly, like, the Scald is nice, but I think it's more of an optional one. Just the standard bear you could probably get away with.
Yeah, I would just take the standard. Like, bumping... So, whenever I look at an option for bumping Resolve versus bumping Defense, I kind of always go with bumping... I go with bumping Defense because if they save the hits, those hits didn't go to Resolve anyway. It's kind of my thought process there.
Like, even if a Skull gave +2 resolve and like a Thing was still just a Bastion 1, I would still probably take the Bastion 1
Yeah.
over the Skull. Just like that's in the way. Yeah, just like not to mention shooting. Shooting doesn't care about resolve. You never do it anyways.
No, I don't. Shooting's always fun. Just wailing shots into people, and it's just like, oh, I hate this.
When you have range superiority, you're laughing. The moment you don't have it, you're like, damn, this is fucking bullshit.
Yeah, it is fucking bullshit. Actually, surprisingly, like Spires has a bunch of it. What's regeneration? Nords has a bunch of it. Yeah. What's also regeneration? Like the werewolves and the trolls. Regeneration is the anti like chip damage tech. I don't know if you know about this, but it really sucks when your opponent's like, I'm regen 4, and I'm like, I killed a stand, and it's like, and they're back, and I'm like, God damn it.
Well, I remember when we got into the tournament at the beginning of the year. First round, I was playing Cass, and my Hunter Kadri like, okay, I'm going to shoot these slingers. Shoot them, kill a stand. Matriarch Queen walks next to him, like, get back up, and the stand pops back up with 4 wounds. I'm like, well that's great.
Yeah, this is awesome.
It was awesome.
Yeah, because at that point I realized 6 stands of Hunter Cadre do not beat 3 stands of slingers with a predator and heal support.
Yeah,
not even close.
Well, it's funny whenever I see Cass playing like hunters. Well, now it's kind of hunters with the Matron Queen. I'm like, I don't. There's times in my head where I'm like, I can beat that unit. I can beat that unit. 2 units of more crossbows if both units are shooting the hunters and not being healed. But the moment they start getting healed, Cass gets into position and just like kills enough, like half the unit of Merc crossbows, heals up, kills the other half, turns to the second unit, kills half, and I'm like, I'm still trying to shoot them down, but Cass is healing them. I'm just like, it's awful. Like shooting them is just not an option at that point anymore.
Like for ranged or ranged combat, the Imperial Ranger Corps I think are better because most range units are either like defense or evasion 1. At which point
unless you're Dwag.
Yeah, unless you Dwag, but that's just Dwag in general. Yeah. It's like lights with the stat line of mediums with the stat line of heavies with the stat line of
Tauntors.
Yeah. So as I said, the extra volley helps a lot more than the AP1.
Mm-hmm.
As like I think this is months ago now, but I think we had a game and you were actually it was when I faced your all shooting list and my Imperial Ranger Corps were beating out your Merc crossbowmen pretty handily because like you get the AP, I get the volley, but then I don't care about your AP because I'm also evasion 1.
Yeah, and your defense 1, like who cares?
Yeah.
But also you're hitting me more, and I'm like defense 1, so it's like more shots are I'm just gonna take more damage anyway.
I think they did the math is if you don't take aim, they do the same amount of damage at defense 4, and if you do take aim, it's at defense 3 is when they do the same amount. Anything less, the Imperial Ranger Corps are favored. Anything more, the Merc Crossmen are favored. But then you have stuff like regiments that use evasion, so then you don't care for the Merc Crossmen auto lose that. Yeah. And then you have Hardened 1, which once again the Crossmen fall behind. And then though the Imperial Ranger Corps are a little bit more expensive, they also have a very, very lovely rule, fluid formation.
Yeah, the scoot and shoot, or the turn around, shoot and run away.
Well, like one thing I love to do is they rush up, and then right when my opponent's trying to close, I have a pikeman brick come behind. Win the activation next turn, reform 180, and double march through the regiment. And I'm like, okay, the Rangers are gone. You have to face the brick.
Yeah. I should probably play more with Imperial Ranger Corps. Like, I think my problem is that I'm so used to Merc crossbows, we're the point where I'm like, I'm just so used to what they're capable of doing and how cheap they are and what I'm getting for them, because they're like one of the best mainstays in all of 100 Kingdoms, or even in the game. And then Imperial Ranger Corps are like, I think they're like 15 points more.
They're 120.
Yeah, so they're 15 points more, but they're also very good. And I think it's just like I need to play with Imperial Ranger Corps more and also, just kind of like grab 2 MSUs and have them run around and do stuff. Like I think
the amount of BS you can pull with them is pretty crazy. It's like, both me and my opponent are like, needing a 5-inch charge away with infantry. Let me just park this Imperial Ranger Corps right here, form myself up on an angle, so if you're going to you can't get around them anymore, but if you charge them, you're going to expose your side to my brick.
Yeah.
If you sit there, I'm just going to sit on this objective, and then the Imperial Ranger Corps are going to shoot you.
Yeah, I think, so, like, I don't know. You're kind of changing my opinion on Imperial Ranger Corps because I did kind of have a bad opinion because they weren't outperforming Merc crossbows, but Merc crossbows were just like taking aim, shooting into melee stuff, and like that were on the approach. And Imperial Ranger Corps have shorter range. Like they're not meant for that. They're there to harass, and I wasn't using them to harass properly.
Plus, I think another reason why I like them more is since I do have the big bricks. They have a big footprint. The extra 6 inches of move in fluid formation really allows me to unmess up my traffic jams. It's like fluid reform, 90 degrees to look right, and literally just march away to get out of the way of the brick.
Yeah, while Merc crossbows don't have that option. They just
they'd have to reform, march 5, and now they're still overhanging by half an inch, and you just build up your whole plan for a turn.
Yeah, so I think like talking with you about it, I think it's very much like I wasn't using Imperial Ranger Corps for what they're meant to do, what is just harass and just like set up for bigger bricks, while my cab stuff wants Merc crossbows because they're cheap mainstays and also they're like just good enough shooting to like harass my opponent to make them come closer to horse. I don't know. Like I should probably put a list together using like 2 units of Imperial Ranger Corps just to like run around and be annoying.
I love them. They're so good.
I know you do. Well, there's our faction swapping episode turning into a 100K episode.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you get 200K players in the rooms. They just want to talk about 100K.
I mean, yeah, pretty much.
I think the meme for this one is going to be like 100K or like Nords, and it's just going to be change teams to 100K. That's going to be it. Like the old Halo 1 like change teams menu.
Yeah. There's also like the StarCraft meme as well. Just change team.
Oh man,
I'm not misremembering.
Was there No, there wasn't a change team in StarCraft.
You know what? I'm not gonna lie. It probably was Halo, and I just looking at the UI, I just thought it was StarCraft.
Well, they're both futuristic games. Cass?
Yes.
Is there anything you want to add to 100 Kingdoms?
No.
Okay.
You don't want to talk about how great they are?
No.
Do you not like 100 Kingdoms?
I don't. They're fine. I don't really. I mean, in terms of actually playing the faction, I have no experience. So.
What about playing into the faction?
It's annoying. I hate it.
Oh.
For some reason, I have to do it every other week.
Not anymore. Cullen's playing Nords now.
That's true.
Maybe for Cat, I'll bust out the 100 Kingdoms as well.
No! God damn it! Stop tormenting people.
Yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll set up Nords no matter what, because since I arrived pretty early, I'll just pick a table, set up the Nords, and then I'll just secretly roll a d6, except it's rigged, it doesn't matter, I'm just going to pick anyways. And, maybe every so often I'll just swap out to 100 Kingdoms.
So here's the thing.
And out of the closet.
I feel like you're gonna show up, you're gonna set up your Nords, and then no matter who it is, you're just gonna like put the Nords away and pull out 100 Kingdoms. They'll be like,
I said it'll just be how I feel. Do I feel mean that day?
Yes. Should we wrap her up?
I guess so. I don't have much else to add.
Yeah, I don't either. Cass, what about you?
No, I think that's faction swapping.
Yeah,
that's all there is to say on the matter.
Like there probably is more, but like I feel like we hit the big key points about it. What I'm happy about.
I'd probably have more to say. If I played them for more like like 3 months instead of just the one game.
Well, you weren't doing anything tomorrow and could sleep in, so it was like, hey, you want to come on the podcast? And you're like, yeah. So
yeah.
So we do have listener questions. We're trying to answer a couple of these at the end, starting last episode. Cullen, because you're here, I guess you get to answer them too. So I hope we hit one of yours.
I submitted the first question and then I haven't submitted any yet.
Oh, we already answered that. Damn it! Fuck. Okay.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't think I listened to that, so I don't even remember what the answer was.
Well, the episode doesn't come out until Friday, and it's Monday.
Oh, I see. That's why I haven't listened to it yet.
Yeah, it's not even out yet. Like I could send it to you early if you really wanted to, but that also means I have to press buttons.
I mean, sure, why not?
It means I have to do work.
I mean, you're gonna have to do it anyways. Think of it as being ahead of the game.
No, I have to edit shit. I got like 3 battle reports to edit. All right, so all of us can answer this one. Colin, you can start first. What are some good habits and etiquette that players of Conquest should practice? What would you like to see more from Conquest players?
Probably just being more relaxed and like, for example, if your opponent makes a mistake, like, they move the regiment up, don't be like, no, you put them there, they have to stay there. Like, oh no, especially like they have a unit, they double march up, 10, 12 inches, and they're like, oh wait, this really exposes my flank, or I would say just allowing takebacks as long as it's like not something, or like don't try to do a takeback after like several actions have gone on later. You've drawn and then your opponent's drawn. Especially if it's something that matters a lot. But if it's just a random unit in the middle of nowhere that like, oh, I forgot to march them onto the backfield objective, and it's going to change nothing. Like, yeah, just go ahead and march them.
Yeah, there's a lot of little stuff. It's like I don't really care, and also a lot of the time when like something might matter. And I see it, I like confirm with my opponent before they're done their activation, where it's like, hey, okay, you're done with that? They're like, yep. And I'm like, okay, you're good. And they're like, yep. And I'm like, okay, then I'm gonna do my thing. Like,
and I said, don't be afraid to talk to your opponent. Like, I understand you don't want to share too much to your opponent to like give them your heads up on what your planning is, but generally also say try and avoid like gotcha moments where like, haha, you didn't know I had this rule that only my faction has. Prepare to get dumpstered because of it. I mean, your opponent, if they knew about it, would have been like, yeah, I'm not going anywhere within a country mile of that regiment.
Yeah, no. I usually, like, go over my list at the start to let people know, like, what I'm playing.
I guess the one last thing would be, as I said, like, talking, going back to, like, whole talking about your opponent, like, declaring intention, because sometimes, like, for example, threat range, okay? You have this really scary range unit like Slingers, they're 18-inch range, they move 6. I'm setting myself 22.5 inches away, but maybe I accidentally have my tape rip measure set wrong, so actually I'm like 21.5 inches away, so I'm now within threat range. I'm like, well, that kind of wasn't the intent, but by helping declare it, your opponent knows, and like, okay, you just back them up that like 3/4 of an inch.
No, that's also a really good one. Cass, what are some good habits and etiquettes that players of Conquest should practice, and also what would you like to see more from Conquest players?
I don't know. We don't have really bad players, so I don't have a lot of shitty behavior to model. Just don't be a weirdo. Also, war games take like 3 hours to play, so don't like waste a lot of time. Just on, I don't know, some people get distracted or they digress into weird things. I know that this is a really personal and specific complaint that people are going to get weirdly mad about, but like, I maintain war games take long enough to play if everybody's focused. So like, be expedient in your actions.
I want to ask, but I'm also like, I don't want to ask. Oh, may I ask, Cass? Did you play someone who was playing like very slowly at one point, and it was just like, oh my god?
It's not so much the play itself was slow. It's just there was a lot of like commentary.
All right.
Yeah.
I know one thing that generally helps, like what I do is, don't wait till your opponent to be done to start planning your move. Kind of start planning it beforehand. Obviously, you might have to make revisions depending if your opponent does something you're not expecting.
Well, the problem is when you've planned out several moves and they're still on that activation.
They're still like, do I march forward 3 inches or do I stand still?
Currently, you're standing still for the past 2 hours. I would like to go home. I need to pee.
That's when you just set up the campfire.
You're in for the long haul. It's like I'll just camp underneath the table beside us.
Yep.
You just have a fire going in the middle of the store, and it's like cooking up a can of beans.
Drape a tablecloth over, and there you go. You got your little fort.
Yeah, you can sleep there while your opponent decides what they're doing. For myself, some good habits and like stuff I want to see play. I like to see players have a set of widgets. Like you guys have all seen my videos I'm mostly talking to like Cullen, I think, watches them. I don't think Cass does. I know some of the listeners have seen my videos, but basically I have a set of widgets that range from 4 inches to 14, and then I have like 2 smaller widgets what are half an inch, 1 inch, 2 inches, 3 inches, 4, 5, and 6. I use a lot of my like widgets for basically all my movement, all my distance checks, all that stuff. So it does clean measurement. The only time I pull a tape measure nowadays is basically if I have to check anything longer than like 14 or 18 inches. I like to see players use more widgets because it just makes cleaner play and also like gives you a set number, and it's very easy to be like, hey, your walk and shoot is 23 inches. I'm just going to I'm going to measure out with the sticks 23 inches. Here's a 10 and a 13 stick, and then I'm going to move my regiment just half an inch out. There's my intent. There's the math. There's the math. There's everything showing it. Good to go. And another one I'd like people to see is like more talk with your opponent. And like, there's times where it's like, hey, I want to charge this thing, and it's like pretty obvious from both ends that you can charge it, or like you can do it. I'm like, I'm just gonna do this, and I kind of like do the hand motions of like, this is where I'm gonna wield, this is where I'm gonna go forward, this is where I'm gonna connect, this is where I'm gonna close, and they're like, that makes sense. They're like, yeah, and then I just pick up the regiment and just put it there because it's way easier to do that than like measure everything and like do the wheel perfectly and to like line it up and then close it when there's nothing that could interrupt that charge. But when there's times where it's like a charge around a corner or another regiment or a piece of terrain or something, I'll pull it. Like, I have multiple trays. I use the trays as proxies because they're 3 stands wide, and I'll just like proxy out my measurement and everything to like, hey, I think I can do this. Let's slow it down and break it down and see if I can. And I work with my opponent to achieve that result. And if I can't, I can, and I move on. If I can, sweet, I'll go for the charge. Like, it's stuff like that I would like to see more of. You guys ready for the next question?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
A gentleman named Garrett asks, am I cool?
Potentially.
Yes.
I'd have to meet you.
Yeah, I have met this person. Yes. The answer is yes.
Oh, I trust
Based on my
Master.
online interactions with them, I would say tentatively yes.
Aw. Next question. Would you rather fight 1,000 duck-sized tauntors or 1 tauntor-sized duck?
1,000 duck-sized contours.
Yeah, same. Plus, think about all the money I could sell selling like dinosaur leather.
But not the one giant duck. That's just a Thanksgiving
or like have,
dinner.
or after I kill them, like bring them to a taxidermist and have them stuffed, and like, here you go, legitimate stuffed dinosaur, $10,000, please.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, no, it's legit. I would fight the 1,000 duck-sized tauntors because that would be a way easier fight than the one tauntor-sized duck.
Plus, also, if I fail, like, okay, there are 1,000 people will be able to deal with them. If I don't kill the one tauntor-sized duck, like, that's going to cause some massive property damage.
Yeah. Oh, God. What? Okay, suppose there's one is, how many arms does the average Canadian have?
2.
Okay. Cass, do you have any? Or?
No, I have none whatsoever.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, 0 arms. No, I just what a setup.
I was not expecting a question like that.
No, I'm going through this now, and it's immediately devolved into debauchery, so we're doing great. Like, they're talking about because fruit is better in cheesecake.
I've only had cheesecake once, which is the one I made in foods class. It gave me the shits, and I've never had it again.
Okay.
Or the cheesecake.
Fruit cheesecake is fine. I know it's good, actually. It's solid. Oh, is that the question? What is the question about fruit cheesecake?
Supposedly you answered meat pies are fucked up concept, but I fully acknowledge that's not a lot of my own personal bias at play.
It's weird, but they're still also
here.
good.
Which is better, fruit pies or meat pies, and why is it meat pies?
Meat pies, and just better. Meat beats fruit, that's why.
Yeah, I'm totally down for meat pies.
No, I disagree. Fruit is in a pie is timeless. Meat pie is a disgusting perversion of the pie format. For whose benefit? I'm not sure. Nobody's, as far as I can tell. Fruit pie, you really can't go wrong. You can pretty much throw any fruit into a pie, and it works. It's delicious. You love it. But, like, I don't know, meat in a pie? It all sounds pretty gross to me.
Quick question: Is pumpkin a fruit or not? I forget.
I believe it's a squash, so I think it's a vegetable.
Okay, good. If it was a fruit, I'd have to swap the back to fruit, just because pumpkin pie is the best single creation mankind has ever created. Even
Yeah,
if
but I
it's
mean that
fire.
doesn't make pumpkin pie a meat, so it's still
No,
now
that's what I'm
it's
saying.
just
If it was a
in no
fruit, I'd
man's
have to.
land.
No, if it was a fruit, I'd have to change away from meat to fruit just to support pumpkin
Oh,
pie.
but then there's like blueberry pie and apple pie. Oh my god.
Don't care for them.
I like blueberry pie. I also like pumpkin pie, but that's a vegetable.
Yeah, you're clowning on yourself by dismissing fruit pie.
Yeah, but to me, like fruit pie is like the shitty fruit cakes because I've had shitty fruit pie before and it fucking tastes awful. All meat pies are just meat in like dough.
A pie shell.
So that's
Yeah.
the thing. Like, there's the fruit pie, the snack, which I'm not talking about at all and doesn't count. But if we're talking about a meat pie, then to my mind, we have to be comparing it to like a pie crust with a fruit filling and a pie top, or a lattice of pie top, or whatever is appropriate. Finish the pie just the same as you would for a meat pie. Like, that's the only way to make a fair comparison. Because if you're comparing like a meat pie to a Hostess fruit pie, like the little baked fruit gel piece of shit that you buy in a, like that's an insane comparison. That's like comparing like a car to a skateboard. Like there's,
Yeah,
that's bullshit. Like that's bullshit if that's what we're trying to talk about, and that's fucked up, and I'm mad about it. But if we're comparing two different kinds of pies, I think there's definitely a discussion to be had, even though I'm very confident of my own position.
That's the fruit pie.
So,
Well, so like whenever I hear pie, like, because here's the thing, I love shepherd's pie. What is a meat pie? Although you can have like I've had also vegan shepherd's pie as well. What was an experience, but I love shepherd's pie, so that's why I want to go with like the shepherd's pie. But I do also like blueberry pie.
here's the thing, though. Like, you named like 3 fruit pies that you liked and 1 meat pie. So, like, to me, that tells
but also
me
like
that
pork
you
pie.
actually like.
Yeah, but my love for shepherd's pie overrules.
Shepherd's pie is pretty damn good.
My fruit pie, because like fruit pie to me is a dessert, and I'm not very much of like a sugar sweet person to have a ton of fruit pie. Like I'll have a slice and be like, that was very delicious, and then I will put that pie away and I'll have another slice maybe tomorrow or in 2 days time. While a shepherd's pie, if you brought me shepherd's pie for a meal, I could eat shepherd's pie for a week straight and probably like maybe even 2 weeks straight and not have any issues.
What about fisherman's pie?
I don't know what that is.
I don't know either. It's something we sell at my store. And I
that's
looked
right.
at it, I'm like, it's just going to be shepherd's pie, but I think it's like fish instead of like, ground beef.
No, fuck
That's
that.
disgusting.
I've looked
fuck
at it, I'm
that.
like, if it is what I think it is, I would throw up.
Yeah, no. That sounds awful. No. So we can all agree fishing pie sucks ass.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm glad we could find some common ground here.
Yeah, thank goodness. Fuck fish.
Yeah, exactly. We can't find common ground in what we love. We'll find common ground in what we hate.
Yeah. Okay, last question. What is this? Okay. Do you all have pets? And if so, what are their names? Colin, do you have pets?
I had a pet growing up, a little cat that was just named Kitty. It died well over 15 years ago because it was older than me, and it was a mean little cat that scared me.
Nice. I had a Rottweiler dog, and I named her Chippy because I was 6 and was learning how to read. And she passed away 12 years ago. I think she went at about 10, but she was a big dog, so her back legs kind of went after a while. She's great because she's just a big dumb idiot. Cass, you said I can't wait to talk about my pets for way too long.
Yep, that's very true. I like, if we did my lifetime of pets, we would be here all night. But currently, I have I've got 2 dogs and 3 cats. I don't really know what the best order to approach this is. I guess I'll go in terms of how long they've been part of the household. So we've got Jackson, who's a big gray cat. I don't really know cat breeds.
Just
but
cat.
He's a big gray one. He's pretty solidly built. He's pretty nice. He's pretty reserved. I feel like for the first few years that I knew him, we didn't really get along that good, but now we're like pretty solidly homies. But when he wants affection, he'll like full on bite you. So that's his toxic trait. And then we've got Merle, who I'm sure I've posted in the Discord, who is the light of my life. He's a ragdoll tuxedo cat, and she, when we first got her, she got caught in a plastic bag and freaked out, and then in her panic got stuck behind the fridge, and I extricated her from that situation, and ever since then she's been hopelessly devoted to me. So she's always trying to get me to pay attention to her at all times, which I'm usually happy to oblige, but it is a lot. And then I've got Jake or Tony, who was a stray that we picked up, and me and my partner both gave her different names. And also we thought she was a different sex than she wound up being initially, so that's why she got a unisex name and a boy name. But she's grown up around dogs her whole life, so she's got a lot of really dog-like tendencies. Not to the point where she's like panting like some cats do and stuff, but she's got a very interesting cat personality. And then, so I've got two dogs as well. There's a Chihuahua pug named Bella, and she's really sweet, but she's really neurotic, as you would expect, given the constituent breeds. And she's probably the most solidly built dog that I've ever met. She doesn't have a neck. It's great. And then lastly, my best friend in the world, Wyatt, is res dog. He's part lab, part, I don't know, who knows. It's the first dog I've ever been curious enough to maybe get his to send him into the dog 23andMe to figure out what he is, but he's definitely part lab.
Is there a dog 23andMe?
I think so.
I think I've heard something about that.
Is that an actual thing? Huh.
That feels real. But we think he's part Staffy as well, because he's got white on his paws and he smiles big, like a Staffy does. Staffordshire Terrier. Is it Terrier? I don't even fucking know. Staffordshire something. Whatever. But yeah, so he was adopted from up north, and where they just found him, and he, I guess, had been abandoned by the other dogs that he was with because he had weird skin conditions. So we were just going to foster him, but when we went to pick him up to foster him, when the vet tech was handing him to me, he kissed me on the nose, and it was all over. And so I adopted him, and he's been that dog, quote unquote, for me ever since. So those are my current animals, who I treasure each individually and as a collective group.
Oh, I like your animals. I've seen them when I came over, but they seem to be like fun.
They're nice. Wyatt is very friendly, almost to a fault. He doesn't understand that people maybe don't want to be best friends with him immediately, but he does want to be best friends with any new person he meets immediately.
He's a chill out.
Yeah, a little bit, but.
So you say, would they be the type of dog the robber breaks in? They're like, "Oh, you're my new best friend. Let me show you around the place.
here's all the valuables. You can take them.
Take them. Just stay with me for a little bit longer. Give me some belly scratches.
I need more belly scratches."
He's definitely that dog. I don't think he's not the most cowardly dog I've ever had, but he's not like he doesn't have any fight in him, and I mean that in a positive way, but he's just not mean in any way, or like aggressive or dog-like or territorial, or like a dog in any significant way. He doesn't have any dog-like tendencies that you can observe when you watch him act. You know how it is.
Yeah.
But yeah. So now that I've taken up 20 minutes talking about my pets.
That's fine. I believe, however, that is the last question. So, for listeners, if you want to pop onto the BonkTable Discord, description link below, we have a listener question channel. Slap some questions there and we'll answer them. It didn't take us very long, and that's all right. If any more show up, we can just kind of go through a couple at the end of some episodes, and people can listen to that stuff. With that, I guess what is it? God damn it, Colin, I'm watching you fucking type in it right now.
Oh, no, you're not supposed to see that.
Well, finish up your typing and then we can answer it next time. I wanna read it out to everyone and then we'll answer it next time. What is your favorite HK unit? It's HK47 from Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic.
Never played that game.
Oh, it's a really good game. If you play BioWare Andromeda, then you should go play Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. You'll love it. Or not BioWare, it's Mass Effect Andromeda. It's made by BioWare.
But I'm currently playing a different game right now.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess we'll answer that question next time. So I want to thank everyone who listened to the podcast. I want to thank our wonderful guest today, Cullen, who is my in-life tormentor who likes to bother me mentally and emotionally for all my conquest needs. Great guy. Really solid player and really good. If you ever do end up in Winnipeg and play him, he will beat you because he is strong like that. Yeah. But I guess for closing remarks, BonkTable's got a Discord. Description below. BonkTable's got a YouTube channel. You can watch battle reports there. It's also in the description below. BonkTable does lore readings. Is there anything else BonkTable does? Cass, is there anything else we do?
No, that's all the things.
Okay, perfect. That's all the things. So, with that, everyone have a great day.
Yeah, have a nice night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.